Chapter 1220. Dragon Tiger Sect. Master, I've received accurate news that Araki Takashi has already left the Dragon Burial Valley and returned to Pingyang Town. He hasn't come out since. A tall sect disciple said in a deep voice. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect sat on the high seat and nodded slightly with a cold glint in his eyes. An elder said in a deep voice. In that case, Araki Takashi must have sensed that his lifespan is approaching and intends to return to his roots. There's no need for the patriarch to deal with someone who's about to die. If Araki Takashi doesn't die, he'll forever be a huge threat to Dragon Tiger Sect. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect said with a sharp gaze. Previously, the sect participated in the fight between dynasties and attacked Misty Peak. The mighty figure of the sect even tried to kill Araki Takashi. How can he let this go just like that? Unless I witness Araki Takashi's death with my own eyes, I won't be at ease. The sect elder wanted to continue persuading. However, when he saw the resolute expression of the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect, he knew that the latter had already made up his mind. He sighed internally and shook his head in silence. Is there anything special about Pingyang Town? The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect asked again. There's nothing, the tall disciple replied. I've been loitering around the vicinity for a long time. The people in this town are all mortals with longer lifespans, and have indeed not cultivated before. Oh, there are also many peach blossom trees around this town. In other words, Araki Takashi doesn't have anyone protecting him? The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect narrowed his eyes and murmured softly. After pondering for a moment, the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect looked at the tall disciple below and ordered decisively. Tianjia, you're my eldest disciple, and have been under my tutelage for many years. You're the #1 void reversion in the sect. I'll leave the heavy responsibility to you this time round. Yes, master. The disciple with the Dao title Tianjia replied in a deep voice. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect said. Choose another 10 void reversion disciples with decent combat strength to accompany you. You can't afford to make any mistakes this time round. I sneaked into Pingyang Town and waited for an opportunity to strike? Tianjia asked. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect sneered and shook his head. You don't have to hide your tracks. Just visit him directly and say that you're here to visit Taoist Araki Takashi and want to spar with him. Araki Takashi is a proud and arrogant man. He has never been defeated since he started cultivating. Even if he is past his prime, he will definitely not be afraid. He will definitely accept the challenge and fight with you. Tianjia understood and said, at that time, I will be able to kill him openly. Not bad. A hint of killing intent flashed across the eyes of the Dragon Tiger Sect patriarch as he continued. If the situation is not right, all of you will gang up and kill him. Pausing for a moment, the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect said indifferently, if you can kill Araki Takashi, the treasures on him will belong to you. Tianjia's eyes lit up. After Araki Takashi imparted the Tao, the mortal world was bustling with activity. Which living being in the world did not want to attain the Tao and become an immortal? Which one of them did not want to live forever? However, most mortals did not have the chance or the qualifications to become immortals. But now that such an opportunity was presented before everyone, who would not be tempted? Almost every mortal would attempt to cultivate the Wu Dao. However, although the martial sutra was the same, everyone had different innate talents and could comprehend it at a different level. Some mortals could comprehend the profoundness within. Some mortals could only comprehend a little. There were also many mortals who could not grasp the main points. It was the same in Pingyang Town. Be it men or women, old or young, everyone tried to cultivate the martial sutra. Unexpectedly, it was much easier for the mortals in the town to cultivate the martial sutra, and they could achieve twice the results with half the effort. This day, there were 11 uninvited guests outside Pingyang Town. Those cultivators had powerful auras and did not conceal their tracks. Dressed in the robes of Dragon Tiger Sect, their leader was burly. It was Dao being Tianjia of Dragon Tiger Sect. Under Tianjia's lead, the 10 void reversions strode towards Pingyang Town in huge strides. Before they could reach the town, the branches of the peach trees crisscrossed as if they had a life of their own and blocked their path. Everyone please return. During this period of time, entry into Pingyang town is prohibited. A slightly immature voice sounded. Tianjia sneered internally and ignored the voice. Instead, he raised his voice and said, I'm Dao being Tianjia of Dragon Tiger Sect. I've long heard of Araki Takeshi's great name. I'm here specially to visit today. Please receive me, Araki Takeshi. What are you shouting for? With a whoosh, a boy appeared at the entrance of the town. He frowned slightly and glared at Tianjia and the others angrily. Kid, who are you? Avoid reversion asked with a grin. I'm Momo, the boy who serves the young master. The boy with the drooping eyelids answered seriously. Although Momo did not say who the young master was, Tianjia and the others could guess. Tianjia grinned. Kid, hurry back and inform your young master that I, Dao being Tianjia, am here to visit. Young master is not receiving guests. Everyone please return. Momo cupped her fist slightly and was still polite. The smile on Tianjia's lips widened. The fact that Araki Takeshi was unwilling to meet them was even more proof that Araki Takeshi did not have much lifespan left. He was absolutely confident that he could kill a dying man. Tianjia's expression darkened, and his killing intent seeped out as he said in a sinister tone. Kid, you can't make the decision on this matter. If you dare to stop us, don't blame us for being impolite. He had originally thought that with his threat and a little ferocious appearance, this boy would definitely be scared out of his wits. Unexpectedly, Momo was not afraid at all. Instead, her expression stiffened. You guys want to harm our young master? Momo was inexperienced and was indeed pure and kind. However, he was not stupid. Senior brother, why are you getting entangled with a kid like him? Avoid reversion strode forward and reached out to grab Momo's throat. Let's just crush this kid to death casually. You guys are indeed up to no good. Momo looked at the void reversion's extended palm and suddenly attacked without warning. Her seemingly frail arm suddenly rested on the void reversion's arm. One coil and one tremble. Crack! 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 The jarring sound of bones cracking could be heard. Right in front of Tianjia and the others. The void reversion's arm was snapped and more than half of the bones in his arm were shattered. After a brief pause, the void reversion finally reacted, and his expression froze as cold sweat dripped down his forehead. Ah! The man let out a miserable shriek. Everyone be careful. This kid has cultivated into a spirit. He's a fiend demon. Tianjia cursed. Damn it, I was wrong. Hurry and retreat. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Momo warned seriously. If it was Monkey and the others, they would have killed this group of people without a second word. However, Momo was different. His hands were not stained with blood, nor had he killed any living being. Right now, snapping the arm of this void reversion was the heaviest attack he had ever dealt. Chapter 1221. Junior Brother Qian. The other void reversion was enraged and summoned a dermic weapon from his storage bag right away. Raising his gigantic axe single-handedly, he slashed it towards Momo's head without any intention of holding back. Tao Yao's figure swayed and arrived before the void reversion in the blink of an eye. She was too fast. At that moment, the void reversion had only just raised his gigantic axe and had yet to land. Tao Yao stretched out his arm, and his tender little palm landed directly on the person's chest. Snap! The person's chest caved in slightly, and at least 7 or 8 bones were broken. Exclamation point! The void reversion coughed out blood and fell. Everyone, let's attack together. This fiend demon is quite capable. Tianjia retracted the contempt in his eyes and shouted with a grim expression. He summoned his destiny dermic weapon, a sinister sword that slashed towards Momo through the air. His sword was refined and condensed from the blood of more than 10,000 demon beasts. It was called the 10,000 Beast Blood Sword, and was a Khanate Dao being dermic weapon. A single slash could even conjure phantoms of 10,000 beasts. It was incomparably powerful. Furthermore, the sword was extremely evil, and contained the resentment and malevolent qi of 10,000 beasts. If a cultivator was careless, their minds would be affected easily. The reason why he was able to become the #1 void reversion of Dragon Tiger Sect was mostly because of that sword. At the same time, the remaining 8 Dragon Tiger Sect cultivators attacked as well. Someone conjured hand seals. Someone summoned a dermic weapon and approached Momo rapidly with a strange footwork, prepared to engage her in melee combat and restrain her. They were all from the same sect, and their teamwork was naturally seamless. Tao Yao's expression did not change as he clawed at his chest. A peachwood sword that was as thin as a needle was revealed. The peachwood sword was originally hanging around his neck. Go! Momo hollered softly. The peachwood sword entered the void and expanded instantly, turning into a 3-feet-long peachwood sword. It shone with faint lightning and collided against the 10,000 beast blood sword. Tianjia sneered. His eyes revealed an ominous glint as he berated. You dared to take out a puny wooden sword and embarrass yourself? Break for me. This 10,000 beasts blood sword had broken countless magical artifacts. This peachwood sword was unremarkable and did not even have any mystical patterns on it. It was likely that its prowess was limited. Not to mention a peachwood sword. Even a metal sword made of heavenly materials might not be able to withstand the sharpness of the 10,000 beasts blood sword. Clang! The 10,000 beasts blood sword and the peachwood sword clashed. There were no sparks. Neither was the situation that Tianjia had imagined. On the other hand, the 10,000 beasts blood sword seemed to have been heavily damaged. The 10,000 beasts phantoms had just appeared when they were shattered. Not only that, but the murderous blood aura on the sword was also completely suppressed. Not a single bit of it was released. Tianjia was dumbfounded. How could he have known that in the legends, peachwood was known as immortal wood? It could drive away ghosts and evils, and was the best counter to fiendish weapons like him. The two swords fought fiercely. The 10,000 beast blood sword was at a complete disadvantage. At the same time, many dermic arts descended. Momo was calm and composed. With a stern expression, she waved both hands and her fingertips moved nimbly, forming pink flowers that looked incomparably bewitching. The pink peach blossoms floated up and collided with many dermic arts. Although the dermic arts of Dragon Tiger sect were frightening, they were shattered and their dermic powers dissipated upon contact with the peach blossoms. Piak! In a flash, Momo reached out and slapped a void reversion heavily on the cheek. That slap shattered half the bones on that person's cheek. Batty! Momo snorted. Bang! 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 Momo's figure flashed repeatedly and passed by everyone from Dragon Tiger sect. She attacked decisively and figures were sent flying one after another in wretched states. One had to know back then, even Monkey and the rest suffered a setback under Tao Yao's hands when they came. Apart from Night Spirit, Monkey and the others were all suppressed by Momo. Dragon Tiger sect specialized in body tempering. Although the physiques and bloodlines of these void reversions were strong, they were still far inferior to Momo. In less than half an incense stick's time, the 10 void reversions were all defeated by Momo. Every single one of them had broken bones, and tragic cries rang out. If Dao being Tianjia had not escaped in time, when he saw that the situation was amiss, he would have been suppressed by Momo as well. You're not allowed to shout. Afraid that those cultivators would disturb Su Zimo's seclusion, Momo hollered softly and conjured hand seals with both hands, pointing forward. Imprison! On the peach blossom trees on both sides of the path, many branches grew wildly, forming cages that trapped the 10 void reversions within. Thereafter, the peach blossoms on the branches emitted a fragrance. The cultivators were drowsy, and the pain on their bodies lessened instantly. They became delirious, and their eyes were dazed. I'll imprison you bad guys here as a punishment, Momo said angrily. In Dragon Tiger sect, these void reversions were all paragons of the sect. Even in the cultivation world of the northern region, they were all famous figures. But now, all of these cultivators looked dispirited and were trapped in cages, hanging on the peach blossom trees by the roadside in an incomparably tragic manner. Dao being Tianjia had long fled far away, and was glad when he saw that from afar. Thankfully he escaped quickly. Otherwise, he would have ended up like his fellow sect mates, hanging on the peach blossom trees helplessly. This town is way too evil. Dao being Tianjia's expression was terrible as he muttered. I wonder where this peach blossom tree spirit came from. To think that it's so strong. After pondering for a moment on the spot, Dao being Tianjia turned to leave. The situation had already exceeded his capabilities and expectations. Dragon Tiger Sect. What did you say? The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect slammed the table and stood up in shock and anger. The 11 of you were defeated by a void reversion peach blossom tree spirit? That peach blossom tree is way too ruthless. We're not a match for it at all. Dao Bing Tianjia felt bitter. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect had a cold expression. After pondering for a moment, he grit his teeth. Seems like we'll have to get junior brother Fei Ming to make a trip. Dharma Daojun. The sect elder at the side frowned. Patriarch, you're asking the Dharma Daojun to deal with Araki Takashi? Aren't you afraid of angering the Mahayana patriarch of Dragon Burial Valley and implicating the sect? What's there to be afraid of? The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect said coldly. The reason why we're asking junior brother Fei Ming to bring people over is not to deal with Araki Takashi. Instead, we're going to kill that peach blossom tree spirit first. That peach blossom tree spirit is harmful. It's only right for us of the righteous path to slay demons and fiends. Who can doubt that? The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect's thoughts were clear. If he killed Momo, he would naturally be able to meet Su Zimo. At that time, he would naturally have many methods to deal with the latter. Even so, the sect elder was about to persuade him when he was interrupted by the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect with a wave of his hand. Elder, there's no need to say anything more. I've already made up my mind. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect said in a deep voice. We have to speed up this matter. The news of your defeat will spread very quickly, and things might change if we delay. True enough. Before long, the upper sects, aristocratic families, Misty Peak, Great-Zhou Dynasty and other factions of the North region received the news. Araki Takashi had left Dragon Burial Valley and returned to Pingyang Town. The situation was unknown. Chapter 1222. Although Su Zimo was a void reversion, his every action would attract the attention of the major factions and sects of the North region. Araki Takashi is in his twilight years, and half his body is already in the grave. However, he still has many treasures on him. We can't let him take them with him. If Araki Takashi dies, the treasures on him will be ownerless. When the time comes, there'll be a bloodbath. Everyone in the world wanted to be the second Araki Takashi. When Su Zimo was strong, countless cultivators and sects coveted his treasures. Now that he was in his twilight years, countless cultivators and sects in the North region were tempted. I heard that Araki Takashi only has 50 years left to live. Could he really advance to the Dharma characteristic realm? Impossible. If he cultivates his body and mind, and is less selfish, he might be able to live through the remaining 50 years of his lifespan. If he wants to break through and enter the Dharma characteristic realm, he won't live for more than a year. That's right. It's extremely difficult and dangerous to break through a major cultivation realm. Even at his peak, it's unknown if he can succeed. Furthermore, he's already at the end of his life and is on the verge of death. Instantly, the cultivation world of the North region was discussing this matter. Dark Ghost Sect. Patriarch, should we head to Pingyang Town and fight for Araki Takashi's belongings? A sect cultivator asked. Of course. The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect said in a deep voice. Junior brother Black Leather, lead 10 Dharma Daojun and 50 void reversions of the sect to Pingyang Town. Pausing for a moment, the patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect continued. However, if Araki Takashi isn't dead, don't act rashly. Why? Dao Lord Black Leather was puzzled. A centipede dies but never falls down. The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect said. Who knows what other tricks Araki Takashi has up his sleeves? All you guys have to do is guard the vicinity. If Araki Takashi is dead, there's no need to hesitate and fight for his belongings. Understood. Dao Lord Black Leather replied in a deep voice. Almost at the same time, cultivators of Seven Kills Sect, Blood Mist Sect, the Yuan clan and other upper sects rushed towards Pingyang Town as well. Instantly a storm. A small Pingyang town was targeted by countless paragons and cultivators from various sects and factions. Murong family residence. Patriarch of the Murong, cited Murong's ancestors as his. Patriarch, We've received news that a large number of cultivators from the various upper sects have rushed over to fight for desolate Marshall's relics. Should we? A cultivator asked. No. Patriarch Morong shook his head. I once promised Araki Takashi that if he could establish the Wu Dao and allow all living beings in the world to cultivate, I would personally visit and congratulate him. Araki Takashi is in his twilight years. There's no need to congratulate him anymore, and it's meaningless. We can't kick him while he's down when he's already so miserable. That's right. An elder of the Morong family nodded. This is the respect that Araki Takashi deserves. Among the 10 upper sects, Stellar Luna sect, Blaze Columbus Valley and Heaven Motion sect did not do anything either. The patriarch of the 3 upper sects strictly forbade cultivators from participating in this matter as well. The capital of Great Zhou, 2 women stood side by side. One was gentle and beautiful, while the other was dignified and graceful. They were Su Xiaoning and the Empress of Great Zhou, Ji Yaoxue. First, Xiaoning looked in the direction of Pingyang Town with a worried expression. I have to go to Pingyang Town and see my brother one last time. I'll accompany you, Ji Yaoxue said. Sister Yaoxue, don't go. Pingyang Town must be extremely dangerous right now. As the Empress, you can't take the risk, Xiaoning said. No matter how dangerous it is, I have to go and see Zimo. Ji Yaoxue's tone was calm, but extremely resolute. Xiaoning remained silent for a long time, and did not try to persuade her. After making some arrangements for the Great Zhou dynasty, Ji Yaoxue set off with Xiaoning for Pingyang Town. Misty Peak. The old immortal Crane and Nian Qi left the sect right away, and rushed to Pingyang Town as well. Wild Lion Ridge, Monkey and the others were gathered with sorrowful expressions and a solemn atmosphere. Little Fox's eyes were red, and it was clear that she had just cried. Seriously first, to think that he would exhaust his lifespan for that Wu Dao. Linghu was indignant. When she heard that, Little Fox wanted to cry again. Suddenly Night Spirit said, Actually, the situation might not be as bad as you think. I heard from First that he has a true body. Even if his Qinglian true body is dead, First isn't. Really? Yes. No matter if it's true or not. Let's head to Pingyang Town first. I heard that some rascals of the human race are prepared to snatch First's belongings. F***ck them. Monkey cursed. Let's go. Monkey and the others struck immediately as well. Actually, there was a reason why Su Zimo left the Dragon Burial Valley and did not visit Xiaoning, Monkey and his other family members. He was already in a terrible state, and the long journey from the Dragon Burial Valley to Pingyang Town was already his limit. He did not have the energy to travel to Wild Lion Ridge, Misty Peak, and the capital of Great Zhou. Furthermore, given his current state, there were only 2 outcomes. The first was failure of his breakthrough. As Night Spirit had said, even if his breakthrough failed, he still had his true bodies of dragons. Most importantly, he still had his true body. He was not dead at all. If he were to bid farewell to Xiaoning and the others, it would only increase his grief, and there was no need for that. The second outcome was a successful breakthrough. That way, there would be even less of a need for him to bid farewell to Xiaoning and the others. At that moment, there were already undercurrents surging outside Pingyang Town. In Pingyang Town, under the protection of Tao Yao, it was still peaceful and peaceful. The people in the town were still living their normal lives, and were not affected much. In the courtyard, Su Zimo's breakthrough had already reached the most critical juncture. Dharma characteristic realm. Actually, it was a summary of his cultivation in the past. The heaven and earth Dharma characteristic would be condensed from the convergence of all dharmic powers. The reason why a heaven and earth Dharma characteristic was strong was because it contained all the insights, essence and power of a cultivator's past cultivation. Under normal circumstances, the summary process was extremely long and exhausting. Some cultivators might not even succeed in breaking through to the Dharma characteristic realm in 500 years, let alone 50 years. However, Su Zimo's situation was different. In the Dao inheritance ground, he obtained the inheritances of more than 30 stone statues. Before he deduced Wu Dao, he had already summarized the cultivation of the immortal Buddhist and fiend sects, and had long mastered it. Without that conclusion, it would be difficult for him to deduce Wu Dao. Therefore, this process was the most difficult for others. However, it was no obstacle for Su Zimo. Although his body and blood qi had already deteriorated, his cultivation realm was rising rapidly and was infinitely close to the Dharma characteristic realm. His deductions of close to 5,000 years were not in vain. The passage of time had long melted the barrier of the Dharma characteristic realm. What Su Zimo had to do was to cross it with ease. This breakthrough would be the easiest one for Su Zimo in his cultivation. Chapter 12:23. This is Pingyang Town? On top of a mountain 10 miles away, there was a large expanse of dark fog. One could vaguely make out the silhouettes. There were more than 100 people. This town doesn't look like much. I wonder how a monster incarnate like Araki Takashi was born. I heard that there's a peach blossom tree spirit stationed in Pingyang Town, with extraordinary combat strength. It protected Araki Takashi, and even chased away Dao being Tianja of Dragon Tiger sect. There are a few cages hanging on the peach blossom tree, and they're imprisoning void reversions of Dragon Tiger sect. Within the black fog were Dao Lord Black Leather, and the others of Dark Ghost sect. Right then, Dao Lord Black Leather's expression changed as he looked towards the northwest. There was a large red cloud approaching, and the smell of blood filled the air. Blood Mist sect is here as well, Dao Lord Black Leather harumphed. Look over there. The cultivators of Seven Kills sect have appeared as well. This is going to be interesting. Once Araki Takashi dies, Pingyang Town will definitely be bathed in blood. Many cultivators discussed softly. However, be it the cultivators of Dark Ghost sect, Blood Mist sect or Seven Kills sect, none of them attempted to barge into Pingyang Town. They were all waiting quietly, waiting for Araki Takashi to pass away in meditation and die. They could wait, but some people could not. Before long, Dao Lord Fei Ming of Dragon Tiger sect arrived with close to 100 Dharma Daojun beside him. Their might was wanton, and they were filled with killing intent. The expressions of Dao Lord Black Leather and the others changed slightly. Dragon Tiger sect is going all out. What a huge lineup. Almost all the Dharma Daojun of Dragon Tiger sect are here, right? By the looks of it, Dragon Tiger sect is going to barge in. That's for the best. If Dragon Tiger sect kills Araki Takashi, we won't have to waste time here. At that time, we'll just attack and fight for Araki Takashi's belongings. Dao Lord Black Leather and the others communicated secretly. As expected, after Dao Lord Fei Ming descended, he looked down at Pingyang Town below and waved his hand. With a cold gaze he ordered, "There's a peach blossom tree spirit in Pingyang Town that's causing harm. Fellow Taoists, kill it." Bad guy. In Pingyang Town, Momo appeared and glared at Dao Lord Fei Ming and the others. He had never been so angry before. Even when fiend demons and cultivators came to disturb Pingyang Town previously, he merely made a move to chase them away. However, at this moment, Tao Yao's heart was burning with rage. Why? Young master was already past his prime, and didn't have many years left to live. Why were these bad people so overbearing and ruthless? He was too kind to understand. It's just a return to Void Realm Peachtree. Let's see what kind of storm you can stir up. One of the Dharma Daojun from the Dragon Tiger sect sneered and stepped forward. He clenched his fist and punched at Momo. Ah! Momo screamed as her chi and blood surged. In fact, the sound of a tsunami could even be heard from within his body. Tsunami blood. Although Momo was at the Void Reversion realm and inherited Daiyu's Dao legacy, her combat strength was unimaginably terrifying. Momo punched in reverse and collided with the person's fist. Bang! The two fists collided. The expression of the Dao Lord of Dragon Tiger sect changed in shock as he staggered backward. His sleeves were torn, and the skin on his arm was torn with streaks of blood. Pust! Many of the cultivators in the crowd gasped in shock. Dragon Tiger sect specialized in body tempering. In melee combat, the Dao Lord of Dragon Tiger sect clashed head-on with a Void Reversion, and was actually defeated. The combat strength of this peach blossom tree spirit was so terrifying. Just now, if it was a Void Reversion, Momo's punch would have destroyed one of their arms. It's still useless. That's right. Even if this peach blossom tree spirit can defeat a single Dharma Daojun, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. There are more than 100 Dharma Daojun from Dragon Tiger sect. This peach blossom tree won't be able to last long. Dao Lord Black Leather and the others calmed down and shook their heads. In midair, Dao Lord Fei Ming merely frowned slightly when he saw that and ordered immediately. Everyone join forces. There's no need to hold back. He could sense that the number of cultivators gathered near Pingyang town was increasing. If this were to drag on, there was no guarantee that nothing would happen. Dragon Tiger Clash. 7-star slash. Illumination of the setting sun. More than 100 Dharma Daojun attacked at the same time, and Dharmic arts descended one after another, blanketing the skies and shaking the world. Momo felt a strong sense of danger. His Dao legacy was powerful, and his potential was limitless. However, his cultivation realm was ultimately limited. Against the attacks of more than 100 Dharma Daojun, he still felt immense pressure that was almost suffocating. There was no time to think. Instinctively, Momo reverted to her true form. Outside Pingyang town, a gigantic peach blossom tree soared into the skies with lush leaves. Countless peach blossoms bloomed instantly and released waves of Dharmic power fluctuations. Bang! 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 Many Dharmic arts collided with the blooming peach blossoms on the peach blossom tree and let out a series of deafening sounds. Momo shuddered. The strength of more than 100 Dharma Daojun was way too strong. Even he could not defend against it. He was already injured from the start of the fight. However, Momo refused to take a single step back. Pingyang town was behind him. There were still cute and kind citizens and young masters in Pingyang town. He could not let those bad people barge in. Beneath the ground, thick tree roots extended continuously, reaching deep into the ground and taking root, firmly nailing it to the ground, not retreating even half a step. Ah, you bad people! The peach blossom tree shrieked with a hint of sobbing that made one's heart ache. One tree branch after another danced through the air, leaving behind a series of afterimages as it whipped towards Dao Lord Flycry and the others. Piak! 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 Caught off guard, some Dharma Daojun were struck by the peach blossom tree branches, and their clothes were torn. Instantly, bloody wounds appeared on their bodies, and their bones were exposed as they were sent flying. Even though Momo was truly enraged, he did not kill anyone. He just kept crying and shouting, "Bad people, go away. Don't force me anymore. Momo, don't panic. We're here." With a loud roar, he rose from the ground. Far away, a golden beam of light descended from the skies with the might of wind and thunder, smashing towards the crowd with a tremendous might. The expressions of Dao Lord Fei Ming and the others changed as they dodged. Boom! The golden beam of light smashed down. The ground shook. A ravine was formed on the spot. A shimmering golden rod stood on the spot. Not far away, a monkey with long hair all over its body and blood-red eyes was leaping over. With every single step, he would leap dozens of feet away. His fists were like hammers as he pounded his chest heavily, letting out thumping sounds that resembled heavenly drums. Behind the monkey was a fiend demon. There was a ferocious demon tiger. There was a majestic golden lion. There was also the flickering night spirit that resembled a phantom. At the same time, the cry of a crane sounded. The old immortal crane of Misty Peak had arrived. A golden-haired, green-eyed girl stood on the back of the old immortal crane. She was filled with golden blood chi, and her gaze was like a torch. Chapter 1224. Araki Takashi's helpers are here. It's useless. Among these people, only the old immortal crane is at the Dharma characteristic realm. The rest are at the void reversion realm and can't do anything. It's hard to say. That black-robed young man is extremely terrifying. Before his sentence was finished, Night Spirit's figure flashed past a Dao Lord of Dragon Tiger sect. In a flash, he reached out and grabbed the person's throat. The Dao Lord of Dragon Tiger sect was stunned and his eyes widened. He merely felt a shadow flash in front of him. Before he could react, his throat was crushed by Night Spirit. His blood chi drained rapidly. That was not the end. A terrifying ripping power surged into his mind through the wound on his throat, slicing his essence spirit into two. The Dharma Daojun did not even have the chance to escape with his essence spirit. As for Night Spirit, he had already vanished. From the moment he attacked to the moment he left, there was no pause in the entire process. Night Spirit was practically a god of massacre. On the other side, Monkey released the berserk power in his bloodline, and his eyes were bloodshot. His strength and speed increased exponentially as he swung imminent with both arms and charged into the crowd of more than 100 Dharma Daojun, dancing around. Monkey, who was in a berserk state, could not feel pain or danger at all. Instantly, the formation of more than 100 Dharma Daojun was thrown into chaos. Night Spirit shuttled through the crowd and seized the opportunity to kill another Dharma Daojun, before retreating unscathed and concealing his tracks once more. Linghu, Ching Ching, Little Fox and the Golden Lion could not take on the Dharma Daojun head-on like Night Spirit and Monkey, or even kill them. However, the four of them had their own trump cards, and could deal with some Dharma Daojun with their full strength. Apart from Night Spirit and Monkey, Nian Qi displayed immense combat strength as well. The power of the Protoss bloodline was on full display at this moment. Although Nian Qi's Protoss bloodline was not pure, the combat power she displayed was not inferior to that of a real Protoss. With half of the god's blood, Nian Qi had also walked his own path by cultivating in the world of cultivation. After Monkey and the rest arrived, they actually managed to stabilize the battle situation very quickly. On the Dragon Tiger sect's side, Dharma Daojun had fallen one after another. The situation had quietly reversed. Even though the battle outside Pingyang town was earth-shattering, with sand and stones flying and blood splattering everywhere, Pingyang town was still peaceful and peaceful. Before the battle, Momo had already activated the array of Pingyang town. This formation was left behind by Su Zimo in the past. How dare a group of demons slaughter human cultivators in the cultivation world? At this moment a loud shout rang out. It was like a sudden clap of thunder, instantly exploding in the crowd. A massive pressure that was hard to resist descended, directly enveloping the Monkey and the rest. The expressions of the cultivators of the various major sects and factions, who were watching the commotion from afar changed. It's a conjoint body mighty figure, Tao Lord Black Leather of Dark Ghost sect said sternly. A figure stood above the clouds motionlessly with his hands behind his back. It was as though he had fused into the world, and was unshakable. Only a conjoint body mighty figure could conjure such an aura. Seems like Dragon Tiger sect is going all out. Conjoint body mighty figures are all grand elders of the sect, and rarely appear. To think that they would be invited out today. Isn't Dragon Tiger sect afraid that the person at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley will attack? No. A cultivator said, the person at the Dragon Burial Valley is a patriarch of the Buddhist monasteries. Right now, the cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect are using the excuse of slaying demons as an excuse to do nothing to Araki Takashi. What reason does the patriarch of the Buddhist monasteries have to attack? On the battlefield, after the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect appeared and his might descended, Monkey and the others' movements became extremely slow, as though they were carrying a gigantic mountain on their backs. Even Night Spirit's tracks were forced to reveal themselves by the might of the mighty figure. Instantly, the gaze of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect landed on Night Spirit, and was extremely sharp like a blade. He had lived for more than 10,000 years, and could make a judgment of the situation with a single sweep of his gaze. He could tell that Night Spirit was the most troublesome to deal with among the fiend demons. As long as Night Spirit was killed, the rest would not be a threat. Evil creature, let's see what your true form is. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect had long realized that Night Spirit was not human. Before he finished his sentence, he had already attacked. Standing above the clouds, the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect looked down at Night Spirit with a sharp gaze. Suddenly, he reached out and grabbed towards Night Spirit through the void. Dermic powers gathered wildly in the palm of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect, as though they were sucked in by a tremendous suction force. Instantly, a dermic power palm that blotted out the skies was formed and grabbed towards Night Spirit. That palm seemed to have sealed off all of Night Spirit's escape routes. Night Spirit narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists as well. charging into the skies and punching the dermic power palm that was suppressing him. Boom! The two collided with a deafening bang. Night Spirit's figure fell to the ground and created a huge pit. However, he flipped over and stood up quickly without suffering any actual injuries. What? He's completely unharmed despite taking a conjoint body mighty figure head-on. What's the background of this beast? The crowd was in an uproar. Night Spirit mostly made use of ghostly movement techniques to kill silently. He was merely used to using the simplest and easiest methods to deal with his opponents. However, that did not mean that he was not strong enough. Hit! Right then the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect hollered. The moment Night Spirit landed on the ground, a slender silver light burst forth from the dust beneath his feet. Like a spirit snake, it coiled around his body. Demon suppressing rope. Furthermore, that was a mighty figure dermic weapon. Blood chi surged within Night Spirit's body and burst forth with a terrifying power, wanting to break free from the restraints of the demon suppressing rope. The demon suppressing rope shone with a bedazzling light, and its dermic powers surged. The moment Night Spirit managed to break free, it was bound by the demon suppressing rope once more. Both its legs were locked, and it could not move at all. Even Night Spirit could not break free from a mighty figure dermic weapon that easily. This mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect had fought countless battles, and had many crafty methods. He had long set up a trap on the ground, and was waiting for Night Spirit to jump in. Roar! Night Spirit narrowed his eyes and looked at the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect in midair. His eyes surged with coldness as he let out a shuddering roar. The demon suppressing rope might not be able to truly restrain him. If he were to reveal his true form, there was a high chance that he could break free from the power of the demon suppressing rope. However, if he were to reveal his true form in front of everyone, he would have to kill all the living beings in the vicinity. Otherwise, his life would be in danger. Those races would definitely not allow him to grow. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect withdrew a long whip from his storage bag and whipped Night Spirit, hollering, "Beast, how dare you shout at me?" Killing intent surged in Night Spirit's eyes. He had never suffered such humiliation before. Night Spirit. When Monkey and the others saw that, they roared as well. However, their situation took a turn for the worse with Night Spirit trapped. They were surrounded by the remaining Dharma Daojun, and could not break free. Boom! Right then, a violent tremor broke out in Pingyang Town. A terrifying aura surged into the skies and connected the heavens and earth. The dermic powers in the universe seemed to be attracted by something and surged towards Pingyang Town, forming a gigantic vortex. Even the auspicious cloud beneath the feet of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect was almost dissipated from the suction. Chapter 1225. The cultivators looked at Pingyang Town with widened eyes in disbelief. Could it be? Araki Takashi broke through? That's impossible. Araki Takashi is at the end of his life. How can he still have the energy to enter the Dharma characteristic realm? The crowd was in an uproar. Even though they saw it with their own eyes, the cultivators were unwilling to believe it. The reason why they gathered so many people was to fight for Araki Takashi's belongings. If Araki Takashi broke through and entered the Dharma characteristic realm, his lifespan would increase to 10,000 years. That would mean that Araki Takashi was no longer in danger of his lifespan. Who would dare to touch Araki Takashi's belongings when he was in his peak condition? What was even more frightening was that there were too few cultivators in the North region who could suppress Araki Takashi once he entered the Dharma characteristic realm. The impact of that on the North region was unimaginable. It did not matter if everyone believed it or not. The gigantic vortex above Pingyang Town grew larger, and its color gradually darkened, turning black as though it was dyed in ink. The vortex was extremely domineering and absorbed the dermic powers of heaven and earth continuously. Not only that, even the dermic powers of the cultivators 5 kilometers away were stirring and seeping out of their bodies, about to be devoured by the gigantic black vortex. Impossible, impossible. Dao Lord Fei Ming of Dragon Tiger Sect shook his head repeatedly with a shocked gaze. The reason why the 100-odd Dharma Daojun dared to come to Pingyang Town was because Araki Takashi was in his twilight years and his blood chi was waning. If Araki Takashi entered the Dharma characteristic realm, none of them would be a match for him. What are you panicking for? The conjoint body mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect hollered. With me guarding this place, it doesn't matter even if that brat Araki Takashi enters the Dharma characteristic realm. This conjoint body mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect was the grand elder of the sect, and was in seclusion all year round. He had never heard of Araki Takashi. The elder, you don't know. Dao Lord Faming gulped and said in shock. Araki Takashi condensed a heaven and earth Dharma characteristic when he was at the void reversion realm. What? The conjoint body mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect frowned and exclaimed. He had lived for more than 10,000 years, but even with his knowledge, he had never heard of such a situation. Dao Lord Fei Ming continued. Furthermore, this heaven and earth Dharma characteristic is 80 feet tall. An 80 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic at the void return stage? Nonsense. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect was initially skeptical, but he could not help but rebuke angrily when he heard that. Dao Lord Fei Ming said, Elder, Araki Takashi has never tasted defeat since he started cultivating. He has many trump cards, and can kill opponents above his level. It's surpassing a great realm. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect was even more doubtful, and was enraged. Why? Do you mean that this lad can kill me the moment he enters the Dharma characteristic realm? No, that's not what I meant. Dao Lord Fei Ming hurriedly explained. I just wanted you to be careful, Elder. Don't be careless. Humph. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect sneered and hollered. Today, I'll let you guys know that the difference between the Dharma characteristic realm and the conjoint body realm is not something you can imagine. Even if this lad can truly conjure an 80 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic, I'll be able to shatter it with my body. Conjoint body was the fusion of one's body and heaven and earth Dharma characteristic. At the conjoint body realm, every single move one made contained the power of heaven and earth, and contained the might of heaven and earth. At that moment, the black vortex above Pingyang town was growing in size, connecting the heavens and the earth. Look, what's that? A cultivator pointed at the gigantic black vortex with a trembling voice. Within the black vortex, a figure could be faintly seen. At first, it was a little blurry, but as time passed, it became clearer and clearer. The tall figure was draped in black armor, and was shrouded in fiend chi. It was insufferably arrogant, and wielded a gigantic black scythe with a chilling aura. Ah, that's Araki Takashi's heaven and earth Dharma characteristic. That's right, that's the heavenly fiend Dharma body that defeated Dao Lord Xianyu. A series of exclamations sounded from the crowd. The tall figure was motionless within the black vortex, and rose continuously. 10 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, 80 feet. Before long, the heavenly fiend Dharma body was 80 feet tall. However, this trend did not stop. After a heaven and earth Dharma characteristic grew to 80 feet, every single increase was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. But now, in the blink of an eye, the heavenly fiend Dharma body had already risen to a height of 85 feet. At that moment, the cultivators of Dark Ghost Sect, Seven Kills Sect, Blood Mist Sect, Yuan Clan and other major sects and factions were silent and pale. It was unimaginable for a heaven and earth Dharma characteristic to be 85 feet tall the moment he entered the Dharma characteristic realm. Even in the ancient Golden Era, there were probably no human paragons who could reach this height. As one's cultivation improved, their heaven and earth Dharma characteristics would continue to strengthen as well. He was able to conjure a 85 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic at early stage Dharma characteristic realm. If he cultivated to the perfected Dharma characteristic realm, there was a high chance that this heaven and earth Dharma characteristic would become a 90 feet tall supreme Dharma characteristic. The expression of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect turned extremely terrible as well. Under normal circumstances, conjoint body mighty figures could indeed suppress the Dharma Daojun with ease. However, the Dharma Daojun's heaven and earth Dharma characteristic was enough to fight against conjoint body mighty figures at this point. Within the black vortex, the heavenly fiend Dharma body stood tall with a black scythe in its hands. Its eyes shone with two cold glints as it looked down at the world with a torrential aura. In the face of this heaven and earth Dharma characteristic, the other Dharma characteristics were insignificant like ants beneath its feet. Even the aura of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect was disadvantaged against the 85 feet tall heavenly fiend Dharma body. All of a sudden, the heavenly fiend Dharma body moved. With that step, it took it out of Pingyang town. Instantly, the ground quaked and the weather changed. Die, you old bastard. The heavenly fiend Dharma body let out a shuddering roar. Immediately after, the heavenly fiend Dharma body raised its arm, and the scythe drew a perfect black arc in midair, slicing the void into two as it slashed towards the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect did not dare to be careless. He threw away the whip in his hands and took out a steel truncheon from his storage bag, smashing it towards the black scythe. Boom! The two weapons collided with a deafening bang. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect shuddered and fell with a shocked expression. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The heavenly fiend Dharma body was one of the strongest Dharma characteristics of the fiend sections. There was no way an ordinary conjoint body mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect could defend against it after growing to a height of 85 feet. Endless fiend chi coiled and bit towards the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect like pitch-black anacondas. At that critical moment, the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect risked his life and channeled his blood chi with all his might, summoning many talismans and dharmic weapons to defend against the corrosion of the fiend chi. Without the augmentation of the dharmic powers of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect, the demon-suppressing rope could no longer trap Night Spirit. Nobody noticed that Night Spirit had already vanished, and there was only a pile of broken ropes left on the spot with a dim glow. Just as the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect was trying his best to defend against the attack of the heavenly fiend Dharma body, a phantom-like figure flashed beside him and fused into the pitch-black fiend chi, almost invisible. A palm appeared on the head of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect. His 5 sharp fingers directly pierced through his head. Chapter 1226. The expression of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect froze, and his eyes widened. Night Spirit's claws pierced his skull with ease, and pierced his essence spirit. A conjoint body mighty figure died on the spot. It was extremely difficult for mighty figures to die at the conjoint body realm, unless they exhausted their lifespans. That was because conjoint body mighty figures possess boundless dharmic powers, and could even regrow severed limbs. Even if their limbs were severed, they would only lose blood chi, and could regrow them swiftly. That was a shocking technique. However, Night Spirit was decisive in his attack, and struck his vitals without any unnecessary movements. The crowd was shocked when they saw that. That was a conjoint body mighty figure. In Tianhuang mainland, Mahayana patriarchs retreated from the world and conjoint body mighty figures stood at the peak of the cultivation world, dominating the world. But now a conjoint body mighty figure died in front of the crowd just like that. The entire process took less than 2 to 3 breaths. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect was defeated head-on against Su Zimo's heavenly fiend Dharma body. Thereafter, he was killed by Night Spirit without a second chance. On the side of Dragon Tiger sect, the situation was reversed with the death of a conjoint body mighty figure. Monkey the Nian Chi, Momo and the others were invigorated. As for Dao Lord Fei Ming and the others, they were shocked and wanted to retreat. After entering the Dharma characteristic realm, Araki Takashi's lifespan reached 10,000 years. That was equivalent to forcibly extending his lifespan by 5,000 years. Initially, Araki Takashi was close to 5,000 years old, and was already on the verge of death. But now, for Araki Takashi, who had a lifespan of 10,000 years, he was at his peak. At his peak, even mighty figures of Dragon Tiger sect could not withstand Araki Takashi. None of them, Dharma Daojun, were a match for him. Run! Some Dharma Daojun reacted extremely quickly and sprinted into the distance right away, wanting to escape. However, it was already too late for them to escape. Boom! The heavenly fiend Dharma body charged into the crowd, its massive body rampaging. No one could take it head-on. Some of the Dharma Daojun did not manage to dodge in time, and were smashed into pieces by the Sky Fiend Dharma body. Whoosh! The Heavenly Fiend Dharma body waved its palm, which was shrouded in demonic chi. A huge vortex formed in the center of its palm, and directly pulled 5 to 6 Dharma Daojun over. These figures of the Dharma Daojun were sucked into the black vortex, and disappeared without a trace. They were completely refined by the devil chi into rich profound chi. The Heavenly Fiend Dharma body's demonic eyes glowed even brighter after receiving this massive supply of energy essence. The Heavenly Fiend Dharma body strode forward, and stomped down with its gigantic feet, crushing a few heaven and earth Dharma characteristics that were 50 to 60 feet tall, and causing the ground to tremble. The heaven and earth Dharma characteristic of Dragon Tiger sect was at most 60 feet long. In front of the 85 feet Heavenly Fiend Dharma body, it was completely unable to withstand a single blow. The enormous scythe tore through the sky and emitted a series of woo-woo sounds. It was like the sound of death, and it was breathtaking. A cold and dark light flashed past. Poof! 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 3 gigantic heads flew into the air, and blood gushed out like a fountain. The heads of the 3 Dharma Daojun were still flying in midair when the pitch-black fiend chi invaded their consciousnesses and minced their essence spirits instantly. The lives of the Dharma Daojun were like weeds that were reaped by the pitch-black scythe repeatedly. Nobody could escape. One figure after another fell from midair. Blood chi spread and dyed the ground red. Even the entire sky was dyed red with blood. Cultivators of Dark Ghost Sect, 7 Kills Sect, Blood Mist Sect, Yuan Clan and many other sects and factions were dumbfounded when they saw this shocking scene. The crowd of cultivators vaguely realized something. The North region had changed. Hurry, inform the sect. Dao Lord Black Leather snapped back to his senses and said hurriedly, "There's a change in the situation. Araki Takashi has entered the Dharma characteristic realm, and a mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect, and more than 100 Dao Lords have died." The other cultivators of 7 Kills Sect, Blood Mist Sect, and the other sects and factions reacted as well and hurriedly took out their communication spirit cranes from their storage bags. Right then, all the cultivators felt their hearts skip a beat. They felt their scalps tingle and chills run down their spines. Not far away, the tall Heavenly Fiend Dharma body stood in a pool of blood on the battlefield with a murderous aura. It wielded a bloody scythe, and was looking over with a cold gaze. The cultivators felt their limbs turn cold, and they froze on the spot. Their hearts were about to jump out of their throats. Although the Heavenly Fiend Dharma body was strong, it was not enough to intimidate them so much that they did not dare to move at all. What truly terrified the cultivators was the green figure above the Heavenly Fiend Dharma body. Compared to the indomitable Heavenly Fiend Dharma body, that figure seemed extremely insignificant. However, at that moment, none of the cultivators dared to underestimate him. Su Zimo was dressed in green robes, and had his hands behind his back. His black hair danced and his skin was lustrous without any wrinkles. There was no trace of age on him at all. First, "Young master!" Monkey, Nian Chi and the others cheered with delighted expressions. Su Zimo looked at everyone and nodded with a smile. Thereafter, Su Zimo's gaze landed on Dao Lord Black Leather and the other cultivators. The hearts of all the cultivators skipped a beat. That gaze was extremely calm, but no one dared to meet it. Although they did not fight when they came, they had other motives. They were here for Araki Takashi's belongings. It was definitely a taboo for them to covet someone else's belongings before they were even dead. If Araki Takashi killed all of them here, because of this, they would not even have a chance to defend themselves. After pausing for a long time, Su Zimo retracted his gaze. The cultivators felt their hearts lighten and unknowingly, they broke out in cold sweat. Some of the cultivators fell to the ground limply and panted heavily to compose themselves. Did they manage to escape a calamity? Go, hurry and leave. Leave this place. Dao Lord Black Leather sent a voice transmission with his spirit consciousness and fled into the distance without turning back. He swore silently that he would never step foot into Pingyong Town again in this lifetime. The rest of the cultivators retreated like the tide, leaving behind a mess. Humph. Linghu had an unfriendly expression as he grit his teeth. Thankfully, first is at the Dharma characteristic realm. Otherwise, he would have been humiliated and taken advantage of by those rascals. What sort of reputation did Su Zimo have? After establishing Wu Dao, his reputation even caught up to the ancient emperors. If he had truly died here, and his belongings were fought over by many sects and factions, his corpse might not have been intact. I have my own plans for this, Su Zimo said. After all, Dark Ghost Sect, Seven Kills Sect, and the other sects did not make a move, and were not his primary target. The actions of the Dragon Tiger sect had truly crossed his bottom line. After this battle, Monkey Momo and the others were injured. Although their injuries were not serious, Su Zimo found it intolerable. It's time to teach some sects a lesson. Su Zimo looked into the distance and waved his sleeves gently, sweeping Monkey and the others into the auspicious clouds. He said indifferently, "Follow me." Chapter 1227. Dark Ghost Sect. When Dao Lord Black Leather and the other cultivators returned to the sect, all of them were dejected and looked like they had suffered a huge shock. Why? You guys didn't succeed? The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect frowned and asked, which sect snatched Araki Takashi's belongings? Blood Mist Sect or Seven Kills Sect? No. Dao Lord Black Leather shook his head. None of them? The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect harumphed coldly. Araki Takashi had so many treasures and none of you managed to snatch a single one of them? Patriarch, there's a change in the situation. Dao Lord Black Leather composed himself and said, Dragon Tiger Sect sent more than 100 Dharma Daojun and a conjoint body mighty figure to barge into Pingyang town. Before Dao Lord Black Leather could finish, the patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect nodded and said hatefully, No wonder you guys didn't succeed. Dragon Tiger Sect even invited a conjoint body mighty figure for Araki Takashi's belongings. No, Dao Lord Black Leather said hurriedly. No one succeeded. Araki Takashi has already broken through and entered the Dharma characteristic realm. What? The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect shuddered with a stunned expression before disbelief filled his eyes. How is that possible? The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect said hurriedly. Araki Takashi only has a few decades left to live and his blood chi is waning. How can he enter the Dharma characteristic realm? Absolutely, Dao Lord Black Leather said. Not only that, Araki Takashi has just entered the Dharma characteristic realm, and he has already condensed a heaven and earth Dharma characteristic that is 85 feet tall. 85 feet. The patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect's expression changed once more. However, that was logical as well. Back when he was at the Void Return stage, Araki Takashi had already condensed an 80-foot-tall cosmic form. Now that he had crossed a major realm, it was indeed possible for his cosmic form to grow to 85 feet tall. Dao Lord Black Leather continued. Thereafter, a mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect fought against the Dharma characteristic head-on and was injured. He was killed by the unknown fiend demon beside Araki Takashi. The 100-odd Dharma Daojun of the Dragon Tiger Sect were completely annihilated. None of them survived. The patriarch of the Een Ghost Sect was already numb. However, from the depths of his eyes, one could vaguely see the waves and fear in his heart. The northern region has changed. The northern region has changed. The patriarch of the Een Ghost Sect murmured. After a while, the patriarch of the Een Ghost Sect asked, How did you come back? Araki Takashi didn't notice you? Araki Takashi stared at us for quite some time before finally retracting his gaze. Dao Lord Black Leather still felt a lingering fear as he recalled that scene. At that time, he truly thought that he was in deep trouble. Patriarch, could it be that Araki Takashi didn't see through our motive? Dao Lord Black Leather pondered for a moment before asking cautiously. After all, we didn't make a move at that time and Araki Takashi didn't know what we were doing. Do you think that's possible? The patriarch of the Een Ghost Sect glared at Dao Lord Black Leather and said coldly, If Araki Takashi can cultivate to this point, how can he not guess your motive? Then why did he let us go? Dao Lord Black Leather was puzzled. The patriarch of the Een Ghost Sect pondered for a moment and analyzed. As you said, Araki Takashi might have let you guys off for now, because you didn't make a move. On the other hand, Araki Takashi, might have something more important to do. By the way, did you guys notice Araki Takashi's movements after that? The patriarch of the Een Ghost sect asked again. I think he headed northeast. Tao Lord Black Leather recalled. To the east, the patriarch of the Een Ghost sect took out a map of the north region and glanced at it briefly. His heart skipped a beat as he murmured softly, Dragon Tiger sect. Stellar Luna sect. Master, there's news from outside. A sect disciple cupped his fists. Araki Takashi entered the Dharma characteristic realm and killed a conjoint body mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect, and more than 100 Dharma Daojun. Pust. In the main hall, all the elders were shocked and gasped in shock. Araki Takashi is truly a monster incarnate. To think that he could break through and enter the Dharma characteristic realm, with only 50 years of lifespan left. That's truly unimaginable. Many elders of Stellar Luna sect lamented. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect had a rather calm expression as he asked in a deep voice. What happened after that? After that, Araki Takashi stared at the cultivators of Een Ghost sect, Seven Kills sect, and the other sects for a long time before letting them go. The disciple said. Many elders exchanged glances and cupped their fists towards the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect. Wise patriarch. Although Seven Kills sect, Een Ghost sect, and the other sects did not make a move, this matter would definitely leave a huge knot in Araki Takashi's heart. The reason why Stellar Luna sect was able to stay out of this matter was because the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect stood his ground against everyone's opinions and did not send any cultivators to participate in this matter. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect shook his head gently. Araki Takashi established his Tao and imparted martial arts to all living beings. I only disagreed with the sect fighting for his belongings out of respect for him. Now it seems like Araki Takashi is even more terrifying than we imagined. Pausing for a moment, the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect said, If I'm not wrong, Araki Takashi should be heading to Dragon Tiger sect. Dragon Tiger sect? The sect disciple asked. Araki Takashi has just entered the Dharma characteristic realm, and he dares to head to Dragon Tiger sect. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect said, All these years, Dragon Tiger sect has provoked Araki Takashi time and time again. They attacked Misty Peak, and were surrounded by conjoint body mighty figures. They even barged into Pingyang town. Given Araki Takashi's character, he'll definitely head to Dragon Tiger sect to seek an explanation. Pausing for a moment, the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect continued. Furthermore, I'm afraid Araki Takashi has another motive for this trip. He's trying to intimidate them. He was trying to intimidate Dragon Tiger sect. He was trying to intimidate the other upper sects and aristocratic families of the North region. I'm afraid Dragon Tiger sect is finished. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect sighed gently. That shouldn't be the case, right? An elder of the sect frowned slightly. Dragon Tiger sect is one of the 10 upper sects after all, and has a foundation of 10,000 years. There's more than a single conjoint body mighty figure in the sect. How can Araki Takashi destroy an upper sect single-handedly? The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect shook his head. Elders, you've never seen Araki Takashi personally, and will never be able to sense his strength. Back when he was at the Void Reversion Realm, Araki Takashi had many methods to kill Dharma Daojun. Now that he's already at the Dharma characteristic realm, ordinary conjoint body mighty figures might not be a match for him. From today onwards, Glass Palace is probably the only sect or faction left in the North region that can suppress Araki Takashi. The 10 upper sects are all beneath him. The expressions of the elders were all shaken. Patriarch, aren't you going overboard? That's right. Araki Takashi is only Dharma Daojun after all. How can he stand above the 10 upper sects? Even if Araki Takashi's heaven and earth Dharma characteristic is 85 feet tall, it's not invincible. How can Dragon Tiger sect's foundation be so easy to deal with? A few elders of the sect shook their heads. Let's wait for the outcome of this battle. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect said indifferently. He could not believe that Araki Takashi could challenge Dragon Tiger sect either. However, nobody knew what level Araki Takashi's combat strength had reached after entering the Dharma characteristic realm. Nobody knew what Araki Takashi had obtained in the past 5,000 years either. The only thing he was certain of was that there would definitely be a huge battle in Dragon Tiger Sect. If Araki Takashi was defeated in this battle, the situation in the North region would not change much. However, if Araki Takashi won, the situation would be set, and all the upper sects and aristocratic families of the North region would have to bow down to him. Chapter 1228. Dragon Tiger Sect. As the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect, Luo Hua was under immense pressure. At that moment, he stood at the peak of Dragon Tiger Peak and looked into the distance with a hint of worry on his face. He did not know if he had made the right choice. However, this was an opportunity for him and Dragon Tiger Sect. If he could obtain Araki Takashi's relics, there was a high chance he could become the second Araki Takashi and find an opportunity to advance to the conjoint body realm. Under his leadership, Dragon Tiger Sect could also become the leader of the 10 upper sects of the North region. There were two different opinions on this matter in the sect. One was to express goodwill towards Araki Takashi. Most of these elders were weak and indecisive. They were not capable of accomplishing great things. Dao Lord Luo Hua pursed his lips and sneered internally. The other opinion was that he was the leader and was determined to suppress Araki Takashi to obtain the greatest benefits. I believe junior brother Fei Ming and the others must have succeeded by now. Dao Lord Luo Hua murmured softly. He didn't know why, but a trace of palpitation arose in his heart. Something big is about to happen? Dao Lord Luo Hua frowned slightly. That was an unusual feeling, as though it was on a whim. At their cultivation realm, they had a strange sense for certain things that were mysterious and difficult to understand. Sect leader, something bad has happened. Right at this moment, a sect disciple rushed over with a flustered expression. That person was still far away, but he was already shouting loudly. Dao Lord Luo Hua's heart sank. That sect disciple was a cultivator guarding the Destiny House. As the name suggested, the Destiny House was a place where cultivators' destiny slips were stored. If anything happened to a cultivator outside, their destiny slips would change, so that the sect could find out as soon as possible. Before he could ask, the sect disciple said, "The destiny slips of Uncle Master Fei Ming and the others have all shattered." What? Dao Lord Luo Hua's expression changed starkly. There were 101 people in Fei Ming's group. None of them are left. Dao Lord Luo Hua asked with a cold gaze. And no. This disciple was scared out of his wits and stuttered. They're all broken, their life tablets. Dao Lord Luo Hua's face turned pale all of a sudden. He clutched his chest and took a step back as though he was severely injured. That was more than 100 Dharma Daojun. There were less than 200 Dharma Daojun of the Dragon Tiger Sect, including those who were cultivating in seclusion and those who were traveling outside. But now, more than half of them have been destroyed. No, this is impossible. Dao Lord Luo Hua shook his head repeatedly. Elder Tianhu of the sect has already gone. How can Fei Ming and the others be completely wiped out? It made no sense at all. He had even predicted that some of Araki Takashi's old friends would rush over to help. That was why he had invited Elder Tianhu out of the mountain. This kind of power was enough to crush Araki Takashi's power into pieces. How could such a big change happen? Could it be that the person from the Dragon Burial Valley has made a move? Dao Lord Luo Hua murmured softly. Right at that moment, a panicked cultivator rushed in from outside the sect. Before he even got close, he shouted, "Sect Master, something bad has happened. Rumor has it that Araki Takashi has already entered the Dharma characteristic realm and killed Elder Tianhu, Uncle Master Fei Ming, and more than 100 people outside Pingyang Town." What did you say? Dao Lord Luo Hua said word by word with widened eyes. He did not believe that Araki Takashi could break through to the Dharma characteristic realm in such a state with such a short lifespan, and was on par with him. Luo Hua, get the hell out. Right then, a loud shout sounded from outside the sect like a thunderclap that spread to every corner of Dragon Tiger Sect. Araki Takashi is here. Dao Lord Luo Hua's heart skipped a beat. If Araki Takashi had truly entered the Dharma characteristic realm, He was almost certain that Araki Takashi would definitely come to settle scores with him. However, he had not expected Araki Takashi to arrive so quickly. Dao Lord Luo Hua withdrew a talisman from his storage bag and soared into the skies, exploding in midair. It was a communication talisman. It would only be used when the sect encountered the most urgent situation. The sect was shaken. Countless powerful auras burst forth and woke up from their seclusion. What happened? How dare someone act insolently at the sect of Dragon Tiger Sect? Dao Lord Luo Hua said in a deep voice. Everyone, this person's Dao title is Araki Takashi, and he's the #1 enemy of our sect. Now that he's here, please join forces and kill him. The Dharma Daojun, who was in seclusion, did not know who Araki Takashi was. Of course, since he dares to behave atrociously at Dragon Tiger Sect, we'll make sure he doesn't return. I was wondering what kind of mighty figure patriarch it was. So, it's just a Dharma Daojun. Even the current Dharma Daojun dares to be so arrogant? Many Dharma Daojun headed towards the sect under the lead of Dao Lord Luo Hua. Within the sect, there were a few elders who had gathered together. When they saw this, they shook their heads. They did not agree with Dao Lord Luo Hua's plan right from the start. To think that this plan would still bring about trouble for Dragon Tiger Sect. Outside Dragon Tiger Sect, Su Zimo stood in the clouds and looked down at the blessed grotto heaven beneath his feet. Dragon Tiger Sect was surrounded by peaks and lush trees. There was even a clear spirit spring flowing between the peaks. It was an excellent cultivation ground. You guys are injured. Just watch from here. Su Zimo glanced sideways and instructed Monkey and the others. I can still fight. Monkey clamored with an excited expression. Su Zimo smiled gently. It won't be too late for you guys to attack when I'm in danger. Where did this arrogant fool come from? How dare you shout in Dragon Tiger Sect? Right then, dozens of Dharma Daojun walked out of Dragon Tiger Sect. One of them sneered at Su Zimo and hollered. You don't recognize me? A look of surprise flashed through Su Zimo's eyes. His Dao title was famous even in the entire Tianhuang mainland, let alone the North region. Among these people, some of them were in seclusion all year round, and truly did not recognize Araki Takashi. Today, I'm here for Luo Hua. Those who are unrelated had better make way. Su Zimo's expression turned cold as he looked at the dozens of Dharma Daojun of Dragon Tiger Sect opposite him. What do you want from me? The crowd dispersed and the patriarch of Dragon Tiger Sect, Dao Lord Luo Hua, walked over slowly. Firstly, you have to die. Su Zimo did not waste his breath on Luo Hua and said directly. Secondly, from this day forth, Dragon Tiger Sect will be disbanded. Arrogant. Arrogant. How dare a Dharma Daojun? Like you want Dragon Tiger Sect to be disbanded. How ridiculous. That's the greatest joke in the world. Dao Lord Luo Hua shook his head and sneered as well. I won't agree to either of your two requests. Araki Takashi, you're indeed strong. However, you're dreaming if you want to shake Dragon Tiger Sect's 10,000 years of foundation single-handedly. It's fine if you don't agree, Su Zimo smiled faintly. If you don't agree, I'll kill you personally. I'll destroy Dragon Tiger Sect personally and remove it from the North region. Chapter 1229. You don't know what's good for you. Many Dharma Daojun of Dragon Tiger Sect hollered angrily. Bang! 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 One after another, heaven and earth Dharma characteristics surged into the skies like gigantic spirits. Instantly, the world trembled and dharmic powers surged with a wanton might. The heights of those heaven and earth Dharma characteristics were different. The lowest was 30 feet tall, and the highest was more than 60 feet tall. A Dao Lord of Dragon Tiger Sect controlled a 50 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic with a single thought and charged towards Su Zimo in huge strides. With every step the heaven and earth Dharma characteristic took, the ground would tremble with a shocking aura. Humph! Su Zimo sneered. Without even using his heavenly fiend Dharma body, he chanted a few Sanskrit chants rapidly and punched. That punch was like the descent of a blazing sun, bursting with a bedazzling light. Great Sanskrit light fist. This Dharmic art was passed down from a stone statue in the cemetery of the Tao inheritance ground. It was a top-tier Dharmic art of the ancient Buddhist monasteries, and was shockingly powerful. Every single punch was like the descent of a blazing sun, extremely ferocious. Before the 50 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic opposite him could reach Su Zimo, its massive body was riddled with holes by the light from the great Sanskrit light fist. What? Many Tao lords of Dragon Tiger sect exclaimed in shock. A 50 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic could not even defend against a single Dharmic art from the other party. What was even more frightening was that the Dharmic powers of the heaven and earth Dharma characteristic dissipated before it even collided with the great Sanskrit light fist. The difference was way too great. Although Su Zimo had just entered the Dharma characteristic realm, his essence spirit cultivated cultivation techniques of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects, and fused with more than 30 inheritances. The essence of the immortal Buddhist and fiend sects was profound, and the power of his essence spirit was comparable to a conjoint body mighty figure. The range of his spirit consciousness could reach 5,000 kilometers. What did 5,000 kilometers mean? Ordinary cultivators who had just entered the Dharma characteristic realm only had a spirit consciousness range of 500 kilometers. It was a difference of 10 times. In battle, the difference was even more obvious. With a strong essence spirit and surging Dharmic powers, coupled with top-tier Dharmic arts, even a 60 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic could not withstand it. Boom! The great Brahma Radiance fist landed heavily on the Dharma Daojuan's body. This person had even brought out his Destiny Dharma artifact, but it was shattered by a single punch. His entire body was torn apart by the punch, leaving nothing behind. Just one punch. A heaven and earth Dharma form dissipated, and a Dharma Daojun was destroyed in both body and soul. Sandstorm. Su Zimo's attack was not over yet. He pointed forward. A series of gusts of wind rose from the ground and swept up endless sand and boulders. Every single grain of sand contained immense Dharmic powers as they howled towards the Tao Lord of Dragon Tiger sect, blotting out the skies and covering the sun. Puff, puff, puff. Some of the heaven and earth Dharma characteristics that were 30 to 40 feet tall were shattered by the Dharmic art, and their Dharmic powers dissipated. They could not withstand it at all. The flying sand and rolling stone was also the stone legacy of the Tao inheritance ground. It came from the immortal sect. Each of these ancient legacies was shockingly powerful. Inheriting just one of them was enough to dominate the world. Avicii Hell. Fiend Chi coiled around Su Zimo's fingertip and rapidly formed a palm-sized region. It was filled with a sinister aura, blood mist and ghostly shadows. Su Zimo tossed the region above the heads of the many Dharma characteristics of Dragon Tiger sect. Initially, Avicii Hell was small. However, when it descended, it expanded rapidly like a world and enveloped the dozens of Dharma Daojun instantly. The heaven and earth Dharma characteristics waved their fists within and Dharmic powers surged. However, they could not break free at all. Avicii Hell was the most terrifying region. No one could withstand the endless torment of being trapped in the Avicii Hell. Be it physical or mental, it was an endless torment. The only few heaven and earth Dharma characteristics that were more than 60 feet tall, that could still hold on collapsed completely under the suppression of the Dharmic art. Without the support of their heaven and earth Dharma characteristics, the Tao Lords of Dragon Tiger sect could not defend against Su Zimo's Dharmic art at all. You think you can stop me with just your heaven and earth Dharma characteristics? With his hands behind his back, Su Zimo crossed over the heads of the Dharma Daojun, without even looking at them. Patriarch, Patriarch, save me! Tragic cries sounded one after another, but there was no response. When Su Zimo released his second Dharmic art, Tao Lord Luo Hua had already taken advantage of the chaos to escape back into the inner sect of Dragon Tiger sect. He knew very well that the dozens of Dharma Daojun could not stop Su Zimo at all. Su Zimo did not take Tao Lord Luo Hua's escape to heart. Today, he was going to flatten Dragon Tiger sect. There was nowhere for Tao Lord Luo Hua to hide. Monkey and the others stood on the auspicious cloud and did not attack at all. They merely watched from the side and felt carefree. Momo's grievances were resolved significantly as well. Sect Protection Formation activate. Dao Lord Luohua returned to Dragon Tiger Peak and activated the Sect Protection Formation right away. Elders, Dragon Tiger Sect is in danger. Even if you disagree with my previous decision, you can't just watch as Dragon Tiger Sect is destroyed. Dao Lord Luohua looked at the dozens of sect elders not far away with a menacing expression and grit his teeth. The elders looked at each other and sighed. We're only at the Dharma characteristic realm as well. We can only do our best, an elder said. If this sect protection formation can't even stop the Araki Takeshi, we won't attack him and court death. Sigh, perhaps this is the fate of Dragon Tiger Sect. Don't worry, Dao Lord Luohua said in a deep voice. This sect protection formation was set up by a top-tier formation grandmaster. Even if a conjoint body mighty figure were to come, it would be wishful thinking for them to break through it within a month. Even if Araki Takeshi can't break through the sect protection formation, what else can you do? One of the sect elders asked. I can send a message to the other upper sects and get them to send experts of their sects to help, Dao Lord Luohua said. Impossible, an elder laughed mockingly. Given the current situation, which upper sects would want to get involved in this mess? All of them must be waiting for the final outcome of this battle. Dao Lord Luohua's expression was dark. There's also Glass Palace. Glass Palace is on bad terms with Araki Takeshi. If we inform them, they won't sit idly by. Before he finished his sentence, the entire sect protection formation shook. The light flickered and showed signs of dissipating. What? How is that possible? Dao Lord Luohua's expression changed starkly. No matter how strong Araki Takeshi was, he was only comparable to conjoint body mighty figures at most. How could he shake this formation? Without time to think, Dao Lord Luohua said hurriedly, Hurry, hurry! Elders, hurry and stabilize the formation. Many elders scattered everywhere according to his instructions and conjured hand seals, releasing streams of dermic powers that entered the sect protection formation to stabilize the light of the formation. The entire sky above the Dragon Tiger sect was enveloped by a gigantic light shield. Outside the light barrier, a green-robed figure stood there, looking down at Dao Lord Luohua and the others with a mocking expression. Luohua, your formation won't be able to stop me either, Su Zimo said indifferently. Today I'll let you see how I dispel the formation. Chapter 1230. The sect protection formation of Dragon Tiger Sect was indeed extremely mysterious. As Dao Lord Luohua had said, even a conjoint body mighty figure would need at least a month to break through it with brute force. However, Dao Lord Luohua missed out on something. If a grandmaster who was proficient in array formations were here, there was no need for him to attack with brute force. Instead, he could find the core of the formation through the trajectory of the formation patterns and destroy it in a single strike. More than 10 years ago, Su Zimo's attainments in array formations were not even considered as a formation master, let alone a grandmaster. However, in the Dao inheritance ground, one of the more than 30 inheritances he received came from an ancient formation grandmaster. No one knew what kind of transformation he had experienced in the Dao inheritance ground. His attainments in array formations were one of his transformations. The formation patterns of the sect protection formation were complicated and mysterious. In the eyes of cultivators who did not know about array formations, it was naturally like a heavenly book that they had no clue at all. But now, with a single sweep of his gaze, Su Zimo managed to find a trace of a clue from the many complicated formation patterns. Su Zimo conjured hand seals with both hands and conjured 3 Buddhist dermic seals in succession. Fiend Suppression Seal, Demon Subduing Seal, Immortal Trap Seal. 3 Buddhist dermic seals descended with a bang and smashed down on the light barrier with a terrifying might. The expressions of more than 10 Dragon Tiger sect elders changed starkly. Under normal circumstances, the power of the 3 Buddhist dermic seals was not enough to shake the sect protection formation. However, the locations where the 3 dermic seals landed happened to be where the 3 formation cores of the sect protection formation were. The formation cores were the core of the formation and the source of its power. Power burst forth from the formation cores and made use of the formation patterns to circulate the formation. Its power increased by dozens of times and formed all sorts of array formations. Once the formation cores were destroyed, it would be difficult to maintain the operation of the formation, no matter how intricate the formation patterns were. How is that possible? Dao Lord Luohua watched everything in disbelief with widened eyes. How long had it been since he activated the sect protection formation? It was probably less than 10 minutes. In such a short period of time, Araki Takashi had found the 3 formation cores of the sect protection formation without any deviation. What the hell? Bang! 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 3 loud sounds rang out. 3 Buddhist dermic seals descended and smashed heavily onto the 3 formation cores, bursting forth with huge dermic power fluctuations. The eye of the formation was shattered, losing its support. The entire Great Sect Protection formation instantly became unstable, and its light flickered. Su Zimo approached and took a step forward. His right foot landed heavily on the light shield of the sect protecting Grand Array as he shouted, "Break! Rumble!" With this step, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Under countless gazes, dense cracks appeared on the sect protection formation's light barrier and spread rapidly. The entire mountain gate of the Dragon Tiger sect was trembling, as if the end of the world had arrived, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to cave in. The minds of more than 10 sect elders were connected to it. Their bodies shook violently as if they were struck by lightning. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and looked dispirited. It was broken. According to Dao Lord Luohua, the sect protection array that could withstand the power of a conjoint body mighty figure for a month was destroyed by Su Zimo just like that. The foundation of Dragon Tiger sect, that spanned more than 10,000 years, was still trampled beneath Su Zimo's feet. If that was the case for the patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect, it was even worse for the cultivators of the other sects. The crowd was in an uproar. Some of the cultivators panicked and began to flee outside. Su Zimo ignored everything that was happening. The main reason why he was here was to kill Dao Lord Luohua and remove Dragon Tiger sect from the upper sects. It was not to start a massacre. Araki Takashi, Dao Lord Luohua hollered. Dragon Tiger sect is one of the 10 upper sects of the North region. Are you really going to be overbearing and kill us all? Fufu. Su Zimo sneered. Luohua, Dragon Tiger sect participated in the fight between dynasties, attacked Misty Peak, and even sent conjoint body mighty figures of the sect to kill me. However, I've never asked for an explanation from you. But now that my lifespan is almost up, you're still unwilling to give up and sent more than 100 Dharma Daojun and conjoint body mighty figures of the sect to barge into Pingyang town. Who was the one who was overbearing and wanted to kill us all? Dao Lord Luohua was rendered speechless by the question. Ugh. Many sect elders shook their heads and sighed. Dao Lord Luohua grit his teeth. Now that things have come to this, there's no point in saying anything more. Araki Takashi, I can only tell you that Dragon Tiger sect has a legacy of more than 10,000 years. If we really fight to the death, both sides will suffer. Is that so? Su Zimo said indifferently. Let's see how Dragon Tiger sect can hurt me today. Bang! Bang! Following 2 consecutive explosions, the 2 caves on Longhu Peak exploded into pieces, as 2 terrifying auras were emitted from them, resulting in an overwhelming pressure. 2 conjoint body mighty figures had appeared. The sect was facing a calamity and could be destroyed at any moment. These conjoint body mighty figures, who were in seclusion all year round, had finally appeared. Furthermore, Su Zimo could vaguely sense that there were more than 2 mighty figures in Dragon Tiger sect. Those who could cultivate to the conjoint body realm were grand elders of Dragon Tiger sect. The 2 old men looked extremely similar. Although their beards were gray, they were hale and hearty with strong blood qi. There were no signs of decline, and their gazes were bright. A gigantic bronze bell hovered above the head of the old man on the left. The old man on the right held a gigantic dark gold tripod in his palm. In the cultivation world, cultivators who used dermic weapons such as bells, tripods and furnaces were not to be trifled with, and had extraordinary combat strength. These two brothers had the same father and mother, and were extremely famous in the cultivation world of the North region 5,000 years ago, known as the Bell and Tripod Lords. Both of them were extremely strong in combat. Coupled with their telepathy and tacit cooperation, the combat strength they could release would increase exponentially. The most famous battle between the two of them was when they joined forces to defeat a conjoint body mighty figure in the Dharma Daojun. Greetings, Elders Zhong and Tripod. Dao Lord Luo Hua bowed slightly with a respectful expression. The two old men nodded. Elder Zhong on the left said in a deep voice, Araki Takashi, please return. I've heard some of your deeds. If you cultivate to the conjoint body realm, given Dragon Tiger Sex Foundation, we won't be able to stop you. Suddenly, Elder Zhong shut his mouth. Elder Ding at the side continued. However, you've just entered the Dharma characteristic realm. It's a fool's dream if you want to flatten Dragon Tiger Sect. The two old men were telepathic and spoke as though they were the same person. Even their tones were identical. Is that so? Su Zimo smirked and said coldly, let's see how the two of you can stop me. Kill. Suddenly, Elders Zhong and Tripod hollered at the same time and charged towards Su Zimo in a triangular formation. Before they arrived, the gigantic brass bell and dark gold tripod in their hands had already struck over. The materials of those two dermic weapons were extremely rare metal ores. The mystic magnet mountain did not affect those two dermic weapons either. The gigantic brass bell emitted an extremely mysterious power that enveloped Su Zimo's head, making it difficult for him to move, as though he was carrying a ton of weight. As for the dark gold tripod, it smashed towards Su Zimo fiercely. The moment Elders Zhong and Tripod attacked, they revealed their powerful combat strength. Chapter 1231. Conjoint body mighty figures could release vast heaven and earth powers with a single move. It was an unparalleled force of heaven and earth. Conjoint body mighty figures were fused with heaven and earth. Even though they were all at the conjoint body realm, there were differences in combat strength. The combat strength of Elders Zhong and Ding was clearly much stronger than the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect, who died in the hands of Night Spirit outside Pingyang Town. Su Zimo felt a hint of pressure. No matter what, he was at the Dharma characteristic realm after all. If he wanted to retaliate against the might and power of a conjoint body mighty figure, he could only make use of his heaven and earth Dharma characteristic. Rise! Su Zimo hollered. Boom! A phantom soared into the skies from Su Zimo's body. Clad in armor, it emitted rumbling fiend chi that was as black as ink and wielded a black scythe with a murderous aura. It was a heavenly fiend Dharma body that was 85 feet tall. The crowd was in an uproar. Everyone from Dragon Tiger Sect raised their heads instinctively and looked up at the indomitable fiend godlike existence. They were dumbfounded and their eyes were filled with shock. 85 feet. That was a height of Dharma characteristics that they had never even dared to imagine or even seen before. The most frightening thing was that Araki Takashi was only at the early stage Dharma characteristic realm. If he continued cultivating, his heaven and earth Dharma characteristic would continue to grow as well. At that time, there was a high chance that it would become a 90 feet tall supreme Dharma characteristic. The Dharma characteristic ranking was released once every 1,000 years. However, it had been many years since a supreme Dharma characteristic appeared in the cultivation world. The most recent one was Extreme Fire. Not long after that, Extreme Fire broke through and fused his supreme Dharma characteristic into his body to become a conjoint body mighty figure. The sovereign celestial appearance disappeared in a flash and did not cause much of a stir. On the battlefield, initially, the brass bell suppressed Su Zimo on the spot and slowed him down with immense pressure. But now, the heavenly fiend Dharma body soared into the skies and dispelled the pressure on Su Zimo instantly. Flash! Su Zimo pointed forward. The eyes of the heavenly demon Dharma body shot out two beams of pitch-black demonic light. It swung its arm, and the huge scythe drew a crescent-shaped cold light in the air, landing heavily on the incoming dark gold cauldron. Clang! The two weapons collided and sparks flew everywhere. The dark golden cauldron was sent flying. The heavenly demon Dharma body only swayed a little, but it did not take a single step back. On the other hand, Elder Ding took 3 consecutive steps back. His gaze was gloomy, and his expression was slightly unsightly. The power of the 85 feet tall cosmic form was actually so terrifying. The heavenly fiend Dharma body wielded a gigantic scythe and glared at Elder Ding. With a deep roar, he exerted his strength and chased after him. "Don't be so arrogant, demon." Elder Zhong, who was standing not far away, let out a loud roar and slapped hard on the brass bell. Buzz! A terrifying sound domain attack came down. The heavenly fiend Dharma body shuddered, as though it had suffered a huge blow. Its movements paused slightly, and its speed slowed down as well. The sound domain attack was extremely lethal, and even Su Zimo felt a piercing pain in his ears. However, before long, Sanskrit sounds sounded in his consciousness and gradually dispelled the power. Although Elder Zhong's expression did not change, his heart was in turmoil. His sound domain secret skill was extremely terrifying. With the help of the brass bell, the lethality of the sound domain attack was something that even some conjoint body mighty figures could not withstand. To think that Araki Takashi would be able to withstand it. Clang! Elder Zhong threw the brass bell over, and it collided with the scythe of the heavenly fiend Dharma body. This time round, Elder Zhong did not retreat. This did not mean that Elder Zhong was stronger than Elder Ding. Instead, it was because Elder Zhong had made use of a sound domain secret skill to affect the speed of the heavenly fiend Dharma body, and even its power was dissipated significantly. Clang! 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 The heavenly fiend Dharma body swung its black scythe and clashed with Elders Zhong and Ding. The heavenly fiend Dharma body was extremely strong. If Elders Zhong and Ding were separated, it would be difficult for either of them to defend against the power of the heavenly fiend Dharma body. But now, Elders Zhong and Ding had a tacit understanding. If either side was in a bad situation, the other side would provide support swiftly, preventing the heavenly fiend Dharma body from forming a continuous killing attack. That way, the heavenly fiend Dharma body was gradually disadvantaged. "Araki Takashi," Elder Zhong hollered. "Is that your trump card?" Although a 85 feet heaven and earth Dharma characteristic is strong, it's impossible for you to challenge Dragon Tiger sect with that Dharma characteristic. Bang! Bang! Elders Zhong and Ding used their Dharmic powers at the same time to fight against the heavenly fiend Dharma body. The heavenly fiend Dharma body retreated a few steps. Su Zimo smirked and said in a shocking manner, "Since one heaven and earth Dharma characteristic won't do, I'll summon 2. Boom! There was another deafening sound. A phantom soared into the skies. It was bald and dressed in monk robes, wielding prayer beads. It had a lowered brows and a dignified Dharma characteristic that seemed like it was plated with gold. What? That's a second heaven and earth Dharma characteristic. Araki Takashi managed to condense 2 heaven and earth Dharma characteristics after advancing to the Dharma characteristic realm. The origin of this heaven and earth Dharma characteristic is not simple either. If I'm not wrong, this should be the legendary Rilai Dharmic body. A series of exclamations sounded from the crowd. Under the watchful eyes of countless people, this solemn Dharma idol continued to grow. 10 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet. In the blink of an eye, the heaven and earth Dharma characteristic had already grown to 80 feet. Furthermore, it showed no signs of stopping. 85 feet. Before long, the heaven and earth Dharma characteristic grew to a height of 85 feet before stopping. A single 85 feet heaven and earth Dharma characteristic was enough to shock the entire cultivation world of the North region, let alone 2 now. This heaven and earth Dharma characteristic was one of the strongest Dharmic bodies of the Buddhist monasteries. The Rilai Dharmic body. The reason why Su Zimo could condense the Rilai Dharmic body was mainly because of the Great Day Rilai Sutra. Of course, the Rilai Dharmic body was only able to grow to such a realm after 5,000 years of cultivation and comprehension of the Buddhist monasteries. 2 indomitable giants stood between the mountains of the Dragon Tiger sect. One was violent and sharp. The other was calm as water, One was a Buddhist Dharma characteristic. The other was a dharmic body of the fiend section's two heaven and earth Dharma characteristics, with completely different auras. Two heaven and earth Dharma characteristics that came from different legacies were now fighting side by side without any conflict. Kill! Suzimo pointed forward. Bang! Bang! The two heaven and earth Dharma characteristics moved at the same time. They stepped out with their gigantic feet and caused a tremor when they landed on the ground. The reason why Elders Zhong and Ding were able to force back the heavenly fiend dharmic body was because they had seamless teamwork and were fighting 2 against 1. Now that the Rulai dharmic body had joined the battlefield and separated Elders Zhong and Ding, their advantage was gone. In less than 10 rounds, Elders Zhong and Ding were fighting on their own and were already retreating in defeat. They could not stop the footsteps of the heavenly fiend dharmic body and Rulai dharmic body. When the Rulai dharmic body stood motionlessly, it lowered its gaze and looked calm, indifferent, calm and gentle. However, Suzimo had a thought. The Rulai dharmic body opened its eyes and let out 2 shuddering gazes. Enraged diamond gaze. Elder Zhong's courage weakened when he was glared at. Flustered, the dharmic art that he had just conjured dissipated. Clang! The Rulai dharmic body threw out a punch and struck the gigantic brass bell. It was as though a gigantic stone pillar had collided against the gigantic brass bell. The bell chimed sharply and burst forth. Elder Zhong, who was the closest, was in an extremely terrible state. His ears were pierced by the sound domain of his dharmic weapon and blood flowed. Chapter 1232. The gigantic brass bell was sent flying by the Rulai dharmic body with a single punch. It was extremely fast and smashed towards Elder Zhong with terrifying power. Elder Zhong could not dodge in time, and could only reach out with both arms. His blood chi rumbled as he received the gigantic brass bell. Bang! Elder Zhong shuddered, and his expression changed as he spat out a mouthful of blood. The power of the Rulai dharmic body was way too strong. This Rulai dharmic body originated from the supreme secret classic of the Buddhist monasteries, the Great Day Rulai Sutra. However, there were many inheritances of the Buddhist monasteries gathered on the dharmic body. It was not only Daming Monastery and Fahua Monastery. There were also some ancient Buddhist inheritances in the Stone Statue Cemetery. The eyes of the Dragon Tiger sect cultivators were filled with endless shock and fear. When he had just entered the Dharma characteristic realm, an 85 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristic was enough to reign over those of the same cultivation realm, and could even kill opponents who were major cultivation realms above them. But now, Araki Takashi had condensed 2 heaven and earth Dharma characteristics. This was simply unprecedented. The psychological pressure was even stronger than the visual impact of the 2 heaven and earth Dharma characteristics. Many Dragon Tiger sect cultivators even had a thought. Araki Takashi was invincible. Be it Dharma Daojun of the same cultivation realm, or Jining Jinjuan, and void reversions of the younger generation. All of them felt despair. The 285 feet tall heaven and earth Dharma characteristics destroyed the mental defenses of the Dragon Tiger sect cultivators completely. Even Elders Zhong and Ding were regretting it, let alone them. However, the 2 of them were already in a difficult position. It was too late to stop now. Kill! Elders Zhong and Ding channeled their blood chi to their limits and roared. What are you waiting for? Before his sentence was finished, 2 figures appeared in a flash and sped towards Suzimo with terrifying auras and shuddering killing intent. Another 2 conjoint body mighty figures. This was the foundation of an upper sect. Although there were no ancestor realm experts in the sect, Dragon Tiger sect was able to become one of the upper sects of the North region and had a legacy of 10,000 years. Actually, the 2 conjoint body mighty figures had been lurking nearby the entire time. However, they did not reveal themselves. These 2 mighty figures were cautious by nature. Even though Suzimo was only in the Dharma characteristic realm, they did not underestimate him. They were not in a hurry to attack, and were waiting for the best opportunity. At this moment, they would have made a move even without the reminder of Elders Zhong and Ding. The 2 heaven and earth Dharma characteristics of the Rulai Dharma body and heavenly fiend Dharma body had already been lured away by Elders Zhong and Ding and were no longer beside Su Zimo. Right now Su Zimo was at his weakest. Su Zimo's expression did not change, but a trace of mockery flashed in his eyes. His spirit consciousness was comparable to a conjoint body mighty figure, and was augmented by his powerful spirit perception. Naturally, he had long sensed the existence of the two conjoint body mighty figures. Since he dared to let the heavenly demon Dharma body and the Rilai Dharma body chase after elders Zhong and Ding, he naturally had powerful means to deal with other unforeseen events. No one could imagine what level Su Zimo, who had stepped into the Dharma characteristic realm after nearly 5,000 years of accumulation in the Tao inheritance ground, had reached. The two heaven and earth Dharma characteristics were not all he had. Of course, that was Su Zimo's trump card, and he would not reveal it easily. Furthermore, the attack of the two conjoint body mighty figures had yet to reach the point of using a third heaven and earth Dharma characteristic. Glancing sideways, Su Zimo closed two fingers on his left hand and conjured a sword art, slashing gently towards the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect on his left. Chi! A blazing sword beam burst forth and filled the void with a vast expanse of whiteness, almost slicing the void into two as it descended above the mighty figure's head instantly. Heaven-slaying sword art. At that moment, all the killing intent in the world seemed to have gathered into the sword art. It was an extremely sharp edge. After 5,000 years of deduction cultivation, Su Zimo's understanding of the heaven-slaying sword art was no longer superficial. He had cultivated it to greater mastery. After entering the Dharma characteristic realm, the power of the sword art increased as well. As his comprehension of the heaven-slaying sword art deepened, the power of the sword chi that was released became even more terrifying. The extremely sharp edge seemed like it could destroy everything. The mighty figure's aura was torn to shreds by the sword chi. Ah! The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect exclaimed, and his expression changed in shock. Immediately, he stopped in his tracks and summoned a defensive dermic weapon to defend in front of him. Clang! The heaven-slaying sword chi landed on the dermic weapon. The sword chi vanished. A white mark appeared on the dermic weapon. All of a sudden, the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect retreated and threw away the dermic weapon in his hands. The moment the dermic weapon left his hands, it split into two and fell to the ground. The fracture was neat. It was sliced into two by the sword chi. Trying to escape, Su Zimo shook his head gently and waved his sword fingers, slashing out once more. Compared to when he was at the void reversion and nascent soul realm, it was much easier for him to release the heaven-slaying sword chi. No matter how fast the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect retreated, he could not be faster than the heaven-slaying sword chi that was chasing after him. Whoosh! The mighty figure reacted extremely quickly and tore a talisman to form an indestructible protective dermic barrier before continuing to flee. Snap! The sword chi entered the protective dermic barrier. The dermic barrier shattered instantly and could not withstand the sharpness of the heaven-slaying sword chi. Exclamation point! A streak of bloodlight flashed. The arm of the conjoint body mighty figure was severed by the heaven-slaying sword chi and blood spewed out, dyeing half the skies red. That was the blood of a conjoint body mighty figure, and contained endless dermic powers. The power of that drop of blood was enough to kill perfected being Jean Dan. Ah! The supreme being let out a blood-curdling scream. His face was deathly pale as he channeled his magic power. Under countless gazes, the muscles on the broken wound wriggled, and a brand new arm rapidly grew out. Severed arm regrown. At the conjoint body realm, even if one lost an arm or a leg, they could regrow it. It was extremely difficult to destroy the body of a conjoint body mighty figure. A series of exclamations sounded from the sect. The cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect had often heard of conjoint body mighty figures regrowing severed arms, but they had never seen it with their own eyes. That was normal. At the conjoint body realm, one was almost at the peak of the cultivation world. How many people could sever the arms of conjoint body mighty figures? This scene was like a miracle and caused true exclamations. However, before the exclamations of the crowd stopped, an even more shocking scene happened. As soon as the new arm grew out, It was instantly covered in bloody scars. Chi. Chi. It was as though there was an endless sword chi slicing through the arm. Poof! In the blink of an eye, the arm exploded and disappeared once more. The heaven-slaying sword art was known as one of the 3 ancient sword arts, and was extremely terrifying. It could destroy life. Although it was only a severed arm of the conjoint body mighty figure, the wound contained a sharpness that could destroy life. It was impossible to regrow a severed arm against that sharpness. Ah! The conjoint body mighty figure endured the pain of his arm being severed once more, and could not help but cry out miserably. He staggered and almost fell from midair. A severed arm was not a fatal injury for a conjoint body mighty figure. However, his blood chi was severely depleted after his arm was severed twice in a row. Before he could catch his breath, a strong sense of danger descended once more. A sword chi tore through the air and attacked with a sharp edge, drowning his figure completely. The third heaven-slaying sword chi descended. This time round he could no longer dodge. Exclamation point. Right in front of everyone, the conjoint body mighty figure was sliced into 2 by a white sword chi. The sword chi surged into his consciousness and minced his essence spirit instantly. A mighty figure was dead. Chapter 1233. The Chi Refinement Warriors, Foundation Establishment Cultivators, and Perfected Jin Dan of Dragon Tiger Sect, who were at the bottom level, watched everything in shock and remained silent for a long time. Up till this point of their cultivation, they had not even seen a conjoint body mighty figure attack. This was the first time. But this time round, an unreachable and untouchable conjoint body mighty figure had died right in front of their eyes. This scene would forever be imprinted in the hearts of many cultivators, and could not be erased. Conjoint body mighty figures could shake heaven and earth with a single move, and had long lifespans of 20,000 years. However, in the cruel cultivation world, conjoint body mighty figures were no different from them. They were equally weak, and could die with their essence spirits destroyed. 3 heaven-slaying sword chi killed a mighty figure. On the other side, the moment Su Zimo released the heaven-slaying sword chi, another conjoint body mighty figure had already closed in. Su Zimo did not even look at him. In his sea of consciousness, the 54 green lotus seeds on the creation green lotus spewed out. Multicolored light filled the air and emitted a sharp sword chi, quickly condensing into a green longsword. Qinglian sword. A green light flashed on Su Zimo's glabella as the Qinglian sword tore through his consciousness and slashed viciously towards the conjoint body mighty figure. This was a killing technique that targeted the essence spirit. Su Zimo did not test the other party and released his killing weapon right away. Araki Takashi, you lunatic! The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect sensed the terrifying aura on the Qinglian sword, and his expression changed starkly. He could not help but curse as he conjured hand seals repeatedly to conjure an essence spirit secret skill. The Qinglian sword targeted the essence spirit. Only essence spirit dermic weapons, or essence spirit secret skills could defend against it. Roar! Roar! The essence spirit secret skill of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect was released, and the void echoed with the roar of a dragon and tiger. A divine dragon and Ling who formed from spirit consciousness charged out, and charged towards the Qinglian sword viciously. Dragon Tiger Kill. The essence spirit secret skills of Dragon Tiger Sect were definitely ranked at the top among the many essence spirit secret skills of the upper sects. In the blink of an eye, Qinglian's sword collided with the Dragon Tiger Kill. The battle between primordial spirits was silent. However, the collision of their divine consciousnesses caused fine cracks to appear in the entire void. The Qinglian sword dissipated into 54 Qinglian seeds and returned to Su Zimo's sea of consciousness. They entered the lotus throne of good fortune and continued to be nourished. However, the figure of the mighty figure of Dragon Tiger Sect swayed, and blood drained from his face. His eyes dimmed and he looked dispirited. Although he managed to withstand the essence spirit battle this time, his essence spirit suffered heavy injuries. In the future, not only would it be difficult for his cultivation to improve, his lifespan would also be greatly reduced because of this. Chi. A beam of white sword chi shot out from Su Zimo's fingertip. The heaven-slaying sword chi descended once again. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect had a terrified expression and instinctively wanted to condense dermic powers to defend. However, the moment he conjured hand seals with his hands, a tearing pain came from his essence spirit, and he almost fainted. The dermic powers that he had just condensed in his hands dissipated instantly as well. His essence spirit could not even condense dermic powers anymore. In a battle as such, a slight distraction could cause one to die on the spot, let alone someone like him. Exclamation point. The sword chi descended and pierced his head without any resistance. The mighty figure of Dragon Tiger sect widened his eyes with a stiff expression and fell from midair. His life force dissipated rapidly, and he was already dead. Another mighty figure was dead. Su Zimo was in complete control of the situation. First, it was the essence spirit battle before releasing the heaven-slaying sword chi. He had already anticipated every possible situation that could occur. It took less than 10 breaths for the two conjoint body mighty figures to die. To be fair, before entering the Dao inheritance ground, although Qinglian's true body had an indestructible physique with treasures, such as the Creation Lotus platform, and even the legacies of the immortal Buddhist and Fiend sects, it was still weaker than the true bodies of the dragons in terms of combat strength. Furthermore, Qinglian's true body had an obvious weakness. The power of her bloodline was relatively weak. If she was closed in by cultivators like the true bodies of the dragons, who possessed terrifying blood chi, and specialized in melee combat, she would most likely be doomed. But now that Qinglian's true body had returned from the Dao inheritance ground, that weakness still existed. However, it was nothing to him. The many dermic arts and methods of Qinglian's true body could make up for that weakness infinitely. Right now, it was unknown who would win even against the true bodies of the dragons. Although the blood chi of the true bodies of the dragons was terrifying, they would most likely be blocked by the many powerful dermic arts and secret skills of Qinglian's true body, and could not get close. Both true bodies had already grown to a terrifying height. Initially, the two true bodies were Su Zimo's greatest trump cards. However, right now his martial Dao true body at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley, his true body, was his greatest trump card. The true body specialized in cultivating the Wu Dao. Even he could not guess how far the true body could go once it matured. On the battlefield, Elders Zhong and Ding tried their best to hold back the Heavenly Fiend Dharma body and Rilai Dermic body, hoping that the other mighty figures of Dragon Tiger sect could succeed. When they saw two mighty figures perish one after another, Elders Zhong and Ding's hearts gradually sank to the bottom. It was over. Dragon Tiger sect was finished. Elders Zhong and Ding finally realized that the foundation of Dragon Tiger sect, that spanned more than 10,000 years, was still unable to defend against this monster incarnate, and was trampled to pieces. Bang! Bang! Two deafening sounds echoed. Elders Zhong and Ding were smashed heavily into Dragon Tiger Peak by the Heavenly Fiend Dharma body and Rilai Dermic body. They were in a wretched state, and their clothes were torn. Their destiny dermic weapons, the gigantic brass bell and dark gold tripod, were no longer glowing and cracks appeared on them. The two dermic weapons were shattered by Su Zimo's two heaven and earth dharma characteristics. The figures of Elders Zhong and Ding were stuck in the Longhu Peak, unable to move. The Heavenly Fiend Dharma body looked at the two of them coldly and waved its arm gently. The Heavenly Fiend scythe drew a cold beam of light in midair and entered their throats. Poof! Blood spewed out. Two heads flew high into the air and then rolled down into the forest. Elders Zhong and Ding were dead. The entire Dragon Tiger sect was completely silent. All four conjoint body mighty figures were dead. Many Dragon Tiger sect cultivators looked at the seemingly frail figure in midair with endless fear in their eyes. Dao Lord Luo Hua's expression was grim, and the corners of his eyes twitched. Even his hands were trembling uncontrollably. At that moment he finally felt regret. However, it was all too late. Dao Lord Luo Hua looked at the three hidden cave abodes on Dragon Tiger Peak, in despair, with a hint of anticipation in the depths of his eyes. The three grand elders of the sect also lived in these three cave abodes. If the three of them joined forces, would they? The moment that thought crossed his mind, he heard Suzimo say indifferently, "The three of you have been watching for so long. Are you still unwilling to come out?" Ugh. There was a deep sigh filled with fatigue and powerlessness. Rumble. Boom. The doors of the three cave abodes opened. Three mighty figures of Dragon Tiger sect appeared. "Greetings, Tao Lord Araki Takeshi." The three mighty figures of Dragon Tiger sect appeared and bowed. That was the only thing they said without any intention of attacking. Tao Lord Luo Hua was in complete despair. Mighty figures bowed. Chapter 1234. The cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect watched everything in silence in a daze. When the three grand elders of the sect said greetings to Tao Lord Araki Takeshi, it meant that the battle was over. The three grand elders were all conjoint body mighty figures. But now, a mighty figure that stood at the peak of the cultivation world put away their pride and bowed down to Tao Lord Araki Takeshi. Suzimo glanced sideways at the three conjoint body mighty figures and asked indifferently, "Why? Not fighting anymore?" The three grand elders smiled bitterly with conflicted expressions. Standing on Dragon Tiger Peak, Tao Lord Luo Hua was indignant, and a crazy thought flashed through his mind. With a menacing expression he shouted, "Elders, Araki Takeshi's heaven and earth dharma characteristic can't last much longer. If you join forces, you'll definitely be able to kill him." After a huge battle, the lights of the heavenly fiend dharma body and Rilai dermic body had indeed dimmed significantly, and were no longer corporeal. However, the three grand elders did not reply. It seemed like this was indeed an opportunity. However, the three grand elders did not dare to take the gamble. If they lost, their years of cultivation would dissipate. They could not afford to lose. If they were to show weakness now, the three of them, and the other cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect, might have a chance of survival. Tao Lord Araki Takeshi. One of the grand elders in the middle cupped his fists. "We've heard about your experiences and encounters. Dragon Tiger sect is indeed guilty of these matters, and we can't refute them. Since that's the case, Dragon Tiger sect will disband today." Suzimo waved his hand and said calmly. However, his words were enough to shock the cultivation world of the North region. Dragon Tiger sect was one of the 10 upper sects of the North region, and had a legacy of more than 10,000 years. It had survived countless calamities and remained standing. To think that it would come to an end today. The three grand elders sighed internally and realized that there was no turning back. The grand elder on the left said in a deep voice, "Tao Lord Araki Takeshi, Luo Hua's crimes are unforgivable. However, these matters have nothing to do with the other cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect. As far as I know, some elders in the sect even tried to dissuade Luo Hua, but he refused." Pausing for a moment, the grand elder grit his teeth and declared, "Tao Lord Araki Takeshi, please show mercy and don't implicate the other innocent cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect. Please." To think that a conjoint body mighty figure would say the word request to a Dharma Daojun. The other two grand elders also cupped their fists and said, "Tao Lord Araki Takeshi, please show mercy." Three conjoint body mighty figures pleaded for mercy at the same time. If this scene were to spread to the cultivation world, it would definitely cause an uproar. Suzimo remained silent. No one knew what he was thinking. Between heaven and earth, there was only silence. The air seemed to have solidified. At that instant, the hearts of the people of the Dragon Tiger sect began to race. They did not know about Araki Takeshi's decision at all. If Tao Lord Araki Takeshi was prepared to go on a killing spree, they would not be able to defend against Araki Takeshi despite their numbers advantage. Their fates would depend on Araki Takeshi's next sentence. The three conjoint body mighty figures were nervous as well. Under normal circumstances, the safest way to deal with the cultivation world was to eliminate the roots. After all, Dragon Tiger sect was disbanded today, and so many cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect had left. There was no guarantee that someone would not obtain a massive opportunity in the future and rise against the tide to take revenge. However, the person before them was Tao Lord Araki Takeshi. Although they were in seclusion all year round, they had vaguely heard of the legends of Tao Lord Araki Takeshi. The fact that Araki Takeshi established his Tao and imparted martial arts to all living beings shocked the three of them even more. Araki Takeshi was not a bloodthirsty person. Perhaps, the cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect might have a chance of survival. Actually, you guys don't have to do this. A moment later, Suzimo spoke slowly with a calm tone. Suzimo pointed at the corpse of the fallen mighty figure and said, I'm only here today to kill Luo Hua. If these people didn't stop me, I wouldn't have killed them either. Swoosh. The cultivators heaved a sigh of relief at the same time, and were completely relieved. Since Tao Lord Araki Takeshi said that, their lives were saved. Thank you, Tao Lord Araki Takeshi, for showing mercy. The three grand elders were delighted and hurriedly thanked with cupped fists. Suzimo glanced at the three grand elders and said proudly, as though he could read their minds, since I dare to let you guys go, I'm not afraid of you guys coming to take revenge. The cultivators were shocked. He was not afraid of you guys coming to take revenge by letting you guys go. Such boldness. With just this one sentence, the three supreme elders no longer had any thoughts of resistance in their hearts. Boom. Suzimo took a step forward and descended on Dragon Tiger Peak. Tao Lord Luo Hua still wanted to struggle and fight to the death. However, Suzimo extended his hand and suppressed him with immense dermic powers, grabbing him over. Suzimo grabbed Tao Lord Luo Hua by the neck and looked down at the cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect below. Listen up, Tao Lord Luo Hua. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect was killed by me. Dragon Tiger sect was also disbanded by me. If anyone wants revenge in the future, feel free to come and find me. Pausing for a moment, Suzimo changed the topic and said coldly, however, if you come and seek revenge on me, you'll end up like him. The moment he said that, Suzimo shook his palm and shattered Tao Lord Luo Hua's essence spirit instantly. The patriarch of Dragon Tiger sect was dead. The cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect were silent and did not even dare to breathe heavily. Every cultivator's eyes were filled with fear. That fear would forever be imprinted in the depths of their hearts. Perhaps one day, some of these cultivators would advance to the Dharma characteristic realm, or the conjoint body realm, and dominate a region, suppressing countless strong enemies. However, they still did not dare to attack Suzimo. The green figure stood on Dragon Tiger Peak, like an untouchable existence that they could only look up at. All of you disperse. Suzimo looked down at the cultivators and waved his hand gently. After a brief silence, the cultivators realized something and sped out of the sect, as though they had been pardoned. Sword lights flew up one after another and auspicious clouds streaked across. The cultivators did not dare to linger for a moment. In less than half an incense stick's time, apart from Suzimo, Monkey and the others, only the three grand elders of Dragon Tiger sect were left in the sect. The three grand elders looked at Dragon Tiger sect and every inch of land beneath their feet and sighed deeply. They had cultivated in Dragon Tiger sect for thousands of years and were reluctant to leave now that they were about to leave. Suzimo did not rush them either. After a long time, the three of them calmed down and bowed to Tao Lord Araki Takeshi once more before turning to leave. The three of them knew that from this day forth, the situation of the North region would be changed completely. There were still many cultivators lingering outside Dragon Tiger sect. Most of them were from the upper sects and aristocratic families of the North region, and were waiting for the final outcome of this battle. Before long, the cultivators of Dragon Tiger sect left one after another. The cultivators hurried forward to ask, and almost all of them received the same answer. Tao Lord Luo Hua was dead and Dragon Tiger sect was disbanded, and the North region was removed. The cultivators were shocked and tore apart the communication spirit cranes that they had prepared hurriedly. The news spread rapidly through the cultivation world of the North region and fermented continuously, forming a strong storm that swept through the upper sects and aristocratic families. Chapter 1235. Dark Ghost Sect. In the sinister hall, a messenger spirit crane flew in. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect received the spirit crane, and a piece of news entered his mind instantly. Instantly, his expression froze and he remained silent for a long time. Patriarch, is there news from Dragon Tiger sect? A few sect elders surrounded him and asked anxiously. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect nodded. What did they say? When the sect elders saw the terrible expression on the patriarch of Dark Ghost sect, they knew that something was amiss. However, they could not help but ask. Luo Hua has been killed. Dragon Tiger sect is gone. After a long silence, the patriarch of Dark Ghost sect said, Gone. The sect elders were shocked and asked again. Why are there no more? Dragon Tiger sect has a legacy of 10,000 years, and there should still be a few conjoint body mighty figures in the sect. For conjoint body mighty figures tried to stop Araki Takashi, but were killed by him single-handedly. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect said. Several sect elders cried out in alarm, for conjoint body mighty figures were dead. Furthermore, they died in the hands of a Dharma Daojun. Blood Mist sect. What did you say? A sect elder exclaimed with a shocked expression. Araki Takashi has condensed 2 heaven and earth Dharma characteristics, and they're both 85 feet tall. The sect master of Blood Mist sect nodded with a dark expression. 85 feet, 85 feet. And there are 2 of them. The sect elder murmured softly. Araki Takashi has only just entered the Dharma characteristic realm. Who can suppress him once he reaches the perfected Dharma characteristic realm? Right now, there aren't many people who can suppress him. The sect master of Blood Mist sect laughed bitterly. 4 conjoint body mighty figures of Dragon Tiger sect wanted to stop him, but were killed by him. The remaining 3 conjoint body mighty figures have also submitted to him. Yuan clan. The head of the Yuan clan had a gloomy expression as he sat in the main hall of the clan. Inside the hall, a group of cultivators had gathered. The atmosphere was heavy. I knew that Araki Takashi would become extremely terrifying after entering the Dharma plane. The head of the Yuan family gritted his teeth and said, But I never thought that this child would actually grow to such an extent. Alas! Some of the elders also shook their heads and sighed. Including the remaining 9 upper sects of the northern region, are 4 great clans, and even the 2 great ancient aristocratic families. I'm afraid no one can suppress Araki Takashi, unless Glass Palace intervenes. Don't forget that Araki Takashi has a Mahayana stage ancestor behind him. I don't think the Glass Palace will attack Araki Takashi now. Araki Takashi is just a child. Could it be that from today onwards, the northern region will respect Araki Takashi? I'm afraid that's the only way. The clan discussed fervently. The head of the Yuan family waved his hand. Elders, follow me to Dragon Tiger sect to pay our respects to Araki Takashi. Family head. The cultivators of the clan were shocked and exclaimed. This decision meant that the Yuan family had lowered their heads to Dao Lord Araki Takashi. Back then, one of the 6 conjoint body mighty figures that killed Dao Lord Araki Takashi in the capital of Yen country was from the Yuan family. Araki Takashi had yet to express anything regarding this matter. The situation was pressing, and the Yuan family could only lower their heads first. If they waited for Araki Takashi to come knocking on their doors, the Yuan family might end up like Dragon Tiger sect and be destroyed from the northern region. The head of the Yuan family had an indignant expression, but he still said, Araki Takashi has entered the Dharma characteristic realm and flattened Dragon Tiger sect. His momentum is already set, and we can only bow down. The cultivators of the clan were silent. Stellar Luna sect. Patriarch, you're wise. Many sect elders praised in unison amidst their shock. Prior to this, the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect had judged that Dragon Tiger sect would be removed from the northern region after this battle. At that time, many elders refuted that. To think that the outcome of Dragon Tiger sect would be as the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect had predicted. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect heaved a sigh of relief. I'm sure all the elders would like to witness the glory of Dao Lord Araki Takashi as well. Why don't you follow me? Is the patriarch going to pay his respects to Dao Lord Araki Takashi personally? An elder frowned slightly. You're the master of a sect after all with an esteemed status. Isn't that inappropriate? Of course. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect shook his head. Araki Takashi has entered the Dharma characteristic realm and is revered in the northern region. His status is above mine, and I have to pay my respects personally to show my sincerity. Pausing for a moment, the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect smiled gently. Upper sects like Dark Ghost sect are even more uneasy right now. I'm guessing that their patriarch will head to Dragon Tiger sect as well. At the same time, all the upper sects, gentry clans and aristocratic families of the northern region took action. The patriarch and the clan leader headed for Dragon Tiger sect at the same time. After the battle, Dragon Tiger sect was already a thing of the past. However, the sect gate was still around. Before long, Momo, Nianqi and the others had already cleaned up the vicinity of the sect gate and cleaned up the corpses and bloodstains. Monkey and the others had long been wandering around the sect gate of Dragon Tiger sect curiously. They looked left and right from the elixir refinement chamber and dermic weapon chamber. When they saw something good, they stuffed it into their storage bags. It's still better to follow bro. Ling Hu smiled foolishly and grabbed a bottle of elixirs casually, pouring them all into his mouth and swallowing them after chewing casually. He burped and spat out a stream of spirit chi. Restrain yourself. Ching Ching could not help but kick Ling Hu and scold jokingly. Don't stuff yourself to death. It's fine. Ling Hu grinned. Haven't you seen Brother Monkey? He found a wine pool from somewhere and is lying in it. He's already drunk and unconscious. In the main hall, Su Zimo had just entered the Dharma characteristic realm and had just experienced a huge battle. Rubbing his glabella gently, he closed his eyes to rest, stabilizing his cultivation realm and comprehending the power of the Dharma characteristic realm. Young master, what are we still doing here? Momo was a little curious and could not help but ask. When he heard Momo's question, Su Zimo did not open his eyes and replied, We're waiting for someone. Oh. Tao Yao blinked his eyes and nodded as if he didn't fully understand. Young master, cultivate and rest first. I won't disturb you. Momo was sensible and did not ask further, bowing and leaving. Outside the main hall, Nianqi was standing guard. Sister Nianqi, young master is tired. Let's not disturb him first, Momo said seriously. Nianqi smiled and nodded. Momo ran to the entrance of the sect and stood guard there. His young master was resting and could not be disturbed. If any fiend demon cultivators were to barge in, he had to stop them in time. That was Momo's thought. The next morning, Momo was resting when she suddenly heard the sound of flying swords tearing through the air. Clouds rumbled in the distance as spirit vessels tore through the air one after another. Many auspicious clouds sped by with many cultivators standing on them. It was a black mass with a terrifying aura and dust billowed as they charged towards Dragon Tiger sect. Momo's expression froze, and she perked up instantly. These people have ill intentions. We can't let them barge into Dragon Tiger sect and disturb young master. Momo muttered internally. Chapter 1236. The cultivators of Dark Ghost sect were the first to arrive at Dragon Tiger sect. The moment they arrived, everyone from Dark Ghost sect saw a boy with drooping hair standing at the entrance of Dragon Tiger sect. He had a stern expression and blocked everyone's path. You're not allowed to trespass here. Please make a detour. Momo raised her voice. Where did this child come from in this remote forest? Many cultivators of Dark Ghost sect had never seen Momo before. Take a closer look. This is not a child, but a fiend demon that has gained sentience. The person who spoke was Dao Lord Black Leather, who headed to Pingyang Town previously. He whispered to the patriarch of Dark Ghost sect. Patriarch, this boy once guarded Dao Lord Araki Takashi outside Pingyang Town, and did not leave his side at all. He made a huge contribution. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect nodded and smiled at Momo. I'm the patriarch of Dark Ghost sect. I'm here to visit Dao Lord Araki Takashi. Please help me inform him. Not now. Young master is still resting. Momo shook her head and rejected him without hesitation. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect's expression darkened. No matter what, he was the patriarch of the upper sect and had a noble status. It was unacceptable for him to be rejected by a boy when he came to visit personally. However, he was extremely shrewd and did not flare up. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect chuckled and asked, "May I ask how long your young master is resting?" "I don't know." Momo shook her head. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect frowned. A Dharma Daojun at the side could not take it lying down and stood out, harumphing coldly. "Lad, Dark Ghost sect is an upper sect of the North region. Who do you think you are to make decisions on your own? If you're asked to inform him, hurry up and do it. Stop delaying." "So what if we're an upper sect?" Momo pouted her lips. "Dragon Tiger sect is an upper sect as well, but it was still destroyed by my young master." "You." The Dharma Daojun was speechless for a moment. He was furious and said coldly, "What a glib tongue you have. Today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of your master. You want to fight?" Momo raised her guard and stared at the Een Ghost sect. "Back off." Just then, the sect leader of the Dark Ghost sect shouted with a dark expression, "Patriarch, he's just a little kid." "Scram. Don't come out and embarrass me." The Dharma Daojun wanted to argue, but was scolded by the patriarch of the Een Ghost sect. Embarrassed, he retreated. The patriarch of the Een Ghost sect took a deep breath and turned around. The gloominess on his face dissipated and he smiled. "No worries. Since Tao Lord Araki Takashi is resting, we will wait outside. If your young master wakes up, can I trouble you to inform him?" The Een Ghost sect cultivators were stunned when they heard this. Their sect master had a gloomy temperament and never had a smile on his face, not to mention speaking in such a gentle tone today. Of course. Momo nodded and did not reject the request. The patriarch of the Een Ghost sect laughed dryly and waved his hand. Then, he retreated with the other cultivators and rested outside the Dragon Tiger sect. "Patriarch, if Araki Takashi rested for half a month, do we have to wait that long? Isn't Desolate Marshal a little too arrogant?" "Patriarch, we can give face to Araki Takashi, but we don't have to show weakness to a little kid." Many of the Een Ghost sect cultivators were indignant. The patriarch of the Een Ghost sect shook his head and said, "I heard that this kid is very close to Araki Takashi. We can't afford to offend him. When a man attains the Tao, everyone around him will ascend as well, let alone a kid by Araki Takashi's side." Before long, the cultivators of Blood Mist sect arrived at the entrance of Dragon Tiger sect, and were rejected by Momo as well. Similar to the patriarch of Een Ghost sect, the patriarch of Blood Mist sect did not barge in, and retreated after exchanging a few words. Dragon Tiger sect was destroyed for trespassing into Pingyang town. None of them dared to try. Before long, cultivators of Seven Kills sect and Yuan clan arrived at Dragon Tiger sect as well. Similar to Een Ghost sect and Blood Mist sect, the patriarch of Seven Kills sect and the family master of the Yuan clan were not enraged after being rejected by Momo. Instead, they chose to wait outside the entrance. Half of the 10 upper sects of the North region had arrived before noon. 3 of the 4 gentry clans had arrived as well. The family masters of the 2 aristocratic families had arrived. These upper sect patriarch and aristocratic family masters were existences that could cause an uproar in the North region with a single stomp of their feet. However, at that moment, they were waiting outside Dragon Tiger sect obediently. The upper sect patriarch and aristocratic family masters were rejected and exchanged glances with a tacit understanding. None of them mocked the other. Almost all of them had fallen out with Su Zimo in the past. Now that Su Zimo had entered the Dharma characteristic realm and flattened Dragon Tiger sect, his momentum was set. In order to resolve their past grudges, they could only pay a personal visit. Noon had just passed. Stellar Luna sect, Morong aristocratic family and other factions had arrived as well. All the upper sects and aristocratic families of the cultivation world of the North region were gathered outside Dragon Tiger sect. Even in the ancient era, there was no Dharma Daojun who could have the entire world bowing to him upon entering the Dharma characteristic realm, right? The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect lamented. "That's right," a sect elder at the side said. "However, this is quite a bit of pressure for Araki Takashi as well. After all, He's facing almost the entire cultivation world of the North region. That's right. No matter how strong Tao Lord Araki Takashi is and can flatten Dragon Tiger sect, there's no way he can go against all the sects of the 9 upper sects. For gentry clans and 2 aristocratic families. This time round, all the heroes are here and the entire world is bowing to him. This is also a test for Tao Lord Araki Takashi. Let's see how he handles this. Many elders of Stellar Luna sect discussed softly. Right then, a calm voice sounded from Dragon Tiger sect. When it landed in the ears of the cultivators outside the sect, it was neither loud nor soft. It was extremely clear. Everyone, sorry to keep you waiting. Come in. Outside the mountain gate, it was originally noisy, but it suddenly quieted down. Momo was invigorated and declared, "Young master is awake. Follow me." The group of cultivators heaved a sigh of relief. Under Momo's lead, the group of cultivators filed into Dragon Tiger sect and headed straight for the palace on Dragon Tiger Peak. The palace of Dragon Tiger sect was extremely huge and could easily accommodate tens of thousands of people. When the group of cultivators entered, they raised their heads instinctively and could not help but shudder with shock in their eyes. At that moment, a green-robed cultivator was seated in the main hall. His black hair draped over his shoulders and his eyes were deep. He exuded a powerful aura, as though he was one with the world. Momo had already returned to her position and stood side by side with Nian Chi behind the green-robed cultivator. Both of them looked young and resembled a pair of children guarding the green-robed cultivator. When the cultivators saw that, they were momentarily stunned. Legend has it that some immortals of the immortal world, who had attained the Tao, were protected by young boys and girls, who cultivated the Tao. They were known as the Golden Boy and Jade Girl. This scene was extremely similar to the legends of the immortal world. What sort of people were the patriarch and patriarch of the 9 upper sects? For gentry clans, and 2 aristocratic families of the North region, when they were gathered together, they would naturally form a powerful aura. But now, when they stepped into the main hall, they were suppressed by the aura of the green-robed cultivator, and could not help but lower their heads, not daring to meet his gaze. Chapter 1237. So that's Tao Lord Araki Takashi. That thought flashed through the minds of many cultivators. Although they had never seen Suzimo before, in their opinion, only such a powerful aura was worthy of the Tao title of Araki Takashi. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect, and the others who had seen Suzimo before lamented internally. If they had not witnessed it with their own eyes, they would not have believed that Tao Lord Araki Takashi would have transformed to this extent in just more than 10 years. This was not just an increase in cultivation realm. It was an indescribable feeling. More than 10 years ago, Suzimo was hailed as the strongest monster incarnate in history, killing many titular disciples and making a name for himself in Tianhuang mainland. He was even reborn after a single attack from a half-martial ancestor. However, at that time, everyone from Stellar Luna sect still looked at Suzimo as though they were looking at a junior. But now, Suzimo exuded an ancient might that was accumulated over time. In front of him, everyone from Stellar Luna sect felt waves of pressure. Congratulations on advancing to the Dharma characteristic realm, fellow Taoist Araki Takashi. After a long silence, the master of the Morong family was the first to stand out and say gently, "Of course, I have to congratulate you for establishing the Wu Dao and bringing blessings to the masses. Back then, when I parted ways with you, I said that if you could establish the Wu Dao, I would personally visit you to congratulate you. Today, I've fulfilled my promise." The master of the Morong family was a beautiful woman who looked to be in her 30s. She had a voluptuous figure, and her words and actions were elegant and dignified. Her voice was gentle and sounded like a spring breeze. "You're too kind, fellow Taoist Morong." Suzimo smiled gently and nodded. "Take a seat." The hall was extremely spacious. At that moment, upon hearing Suzimo's instructions, Momo walked down the stairs and took out a chair from her storage bag, placing it beside the master of the Morong family. Please. Momo gestured for him to sit. Thank you, child. The master of the Morong family smiled and sat down. The other cultivators of the Morong family naturally did not have the qualifications to sit in the main hall. They stood behind the master of the Morong family in order. Su Zimo's gaze turned and landed on the patriarch of the Stellar Luna sect. The patriarch of the Stellar Luna clan laughed. He stepped forward and bowed slightly. Greetings, Araki Takeshi. Congratulations on reaching the Dharma stage and imparting martial arts to the masses. Sure. Su Zimo nodded and said, take a seat. Momo then took out a chair from her storage pouch and placed it beside the patriarch of the Stellar Luna sect. The patriarch of the Star Luna sect let out a sigh of relief. More than 10 years ago, after the battle in the Yin Kingdom's palace, he had told Su Zimo that the grudge between Su Zimo and the Star Luna sect was over. Thereafter, no cultivators from Stellar Luna sect participated in the battle outside Pingyang town. Now it seemed like both of his decisions were correct. The Valley Master of Blaze Columbus Valley cupped his fists slightly and laughed. Fellow Taoist Araki Takeshi, to think that you would really succeed in imparting martial arts to the masses. It's nothing much for you to reach the Dharma stage. However, the establishment of the Wu Dao is definitely worth a toast. No problem. Su Zimo nodded and smiled. Why don't you stay behind today, Valley Master? There's a wine pool in Dragon Tiger sect, and the wine inside is extremely fragrant. You can drink to your heart's content. All right. The Valley Master of Blaze Columbus Valley's eyes lit up as he said hurriedly. Since fellow Taoist Araki Takeshi says so, I won't decline. Although I've drunk the wine of Dragon Tiger sect in the past, I've never had a good time. Today, I can finally drink to my heart's content. Take a seat. Su Zimo nodded. Momo came beside the Valley Master of Blaze Columbus Valley and took out a chair. Thank you. The Valley Master of Blaze Columbus Valley chuckled and sat down in an imposing manner. Initially, the atmosphere in the hall was a little tense. But now, the atmosphere was much livelier after the exchange. Many cultivators relaxed as well. For example, cultivators of Dark Ghost sect, Seven Kills sect and Blood Mist sect were all thinking to themselves. Legend has it that Araki Takeshi is decisive and murderous like a fiend. Now, it seems like he's easy to talk to. Master, you're thinking too much. Dao Lord Black Leather sent a voice transmission as well. Seems like Araki Takeshi is wise and has no intention of becoming enemies with us. The Patriarch of Dark Ghost sect did not say anything. Actually, the current situation did not prove anything. Stellar Luna sect, Blaze Columbus Valley, and the Morong family, the upper sects and aristocratic families, did not have a deep feud with Su Zimo to begin with. However, they were different. More than 10 years ago, they sent conjoint body mighty figures of their sects to kill Araki Takeshi. A few days ago, their cultivators even rushed to the vicinity outside Pingyang town to covet Araki Takeshi's belongings. That was a huge taboo. Just as the Patriarch of Dark Ghost sect was hesitating, the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect stood out. Just like the Patriarch of Stellar Luna sect, the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect smiled and cupped his fists. Congratulations, fellow Taoist Araki Takeshi, for entering the Dharma characteristic realm and establishing the Wu Dao. This is a blessing for all living beings and an eternal merit. Under normal circumstances, Su Zimo should have gotten someone to take care of his seat at this moment. However, at that moment, Su Zimo was expressionless and merely looked at the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect without saying anything, ignoring him. The smile of the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect froze on his face. The group of cultivators had just relaxed when they suddenly felt their hearts skip a beat, as though a calamity was about to befall them. The atmosphere in the main hall suddenly became oppressive and heavy. Back then, one of the 6 conjoint body mighty figures that killed Su Zimo was from Seven Kills sect. There were cultivators of Seven Kills sect outside Pingyang town as well. Dao Lord Araki Takeshi, the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect, had an awkward expression. Just as he was about to say something, Su Zimo retracted his gaze and turned to look at the Patriarch of Heaven Motion sect not far away without looking at him. It's been more than 10 years since we last met. How have you been, Patriarch? Suzimo smiled gently. More than 10 years ago, the Patriarch of Heaven Motion sect promised him that their feud would be written off, and he would not cause trouble for him anymore. Later on, Heaven Motion sect fulfilled their promise and did not send cultivators to Pingyang Town. The Patriarch of Heaven Motion sect was stunned for a moment and even felt flattered as he said hurriedly, "You're too kind, fellow Taoist." "Take a seat," Suzimo nodded. Momo brought out a chair and placed it beside the Patriarch of Heaven Motion sect. At that moment, the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect stood at the side, unable to advance or retreat. His face turned purple, and he felt a burning sensation. Clear distinction between gratitude and grudges. Those words flashed through the mind of the Patriarch of Stellar Luna sect. The way Suzimo treated them was completely different from the way he treated the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect. Although they came this time round with the intention of befriending Suzimo, Dark Ghost sect, Seven Kills sect, and the other sects were going to return empty-handed. Araki Takashi, what's the meaning of this? An elder of Seven Kills sect could not hold it in any longer, and stood out with killing intent in his eyes as he said coldly, "Our Patriarch is here personally to congratulate us. How can we allow a brat like you to humiliate us like this?" Suzimo's expression turned cold, and his gaze intensified. "You want to kill me?" Suzimo's spirit perception was the most sensitive to killing intent. Seven Kills sect had once sent a conjoint body mighty figure to kill him. That debt had yet to be settled, and yet this elder of Seven Kills sect dared to kill him. "You must have a death wish." Exhaling, Suzimo raised two fingers and conjured a sword art, slashing towards the elder of Seven Kills sect through the air. Chi! A bedazzling sword chi burst forth and filled the entire place with a white blur. The elder of Seven Kills sect was alarmed. He had not expected Suzimo to be so domineering as to kill in front of so many sects and factions. With a slight distraction, the heaven-slaying sword chi had already crossed the void and entered his head. Poof! The elder of Seven Kills sect was sliced into two and died on the spot. Chapter 1238. Decisive to kill. Who would have thought that just now, Tao Lord Araki Takashi would kill someone in the blink of an eye while he was chatting casually? It was only at this moment that the cultivators realized how domineering Suzimo was. The sect master of Seven Kills sect was standing at the side and could not react at all. He could only watch as the elder beside him died on the spot. At that moment he did not feel anger but fear. The white sword aura brushed past him, not to mention the sect elders beside him. Even he himself did not react in time. In other words, he would have been a dead man if that sword chi had slashed at him. Unknowingly, the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect was already drenched in cold sweat. However, due to his identity, he pretended to be calm, but could not say anything. In the massive palace, there were many cultivators from the 9 upper sects, 4 gentry clans, and 2 aristocratic families. However, none of them dared to speak and were silent out of fear. That single sword strike was enough to stun all the cultivators. The Patriarch of Stellar Luna sect, Blaze Columbus Valley, and the other upper sects were already seated and naturally watched coldly from the sidelines. As for the Patriarch of Dark Ghost sect, Blood Mist sect, and the other upper sects, they exchanged glances. Although they were displeased, it was not appropriate for them to stand out. Firstly, they were afraid of Suzimo's methods. They were certain that if they stood out, Tao Lord Araki Takashi would definitely kill them without any reservations. Secondly, the Patriarch of Seven Kills sect did not say anything. There was no need for them to provoke Suzimo because of that. In less than 10 minutes, Suzimo had already gained complete control of the situation after entering the main hall from the upper sects and aristocratic families. Suzimo's expression was unchanged as he continued to converse with the other patriarch, while instructing Momo to prepare seats for the few sect and family masters. Before long, some of the patriarch and aristocratic family masters were seated. However, the patriarch of the 4 upper sects and the clan head of a great clan were left hanging by Su Zimo, without being given a seat. Dark Ghost Sect, 7 Kills Sect, Blood Mist Sect, Profound Heaven Divine Cult Yuan Clan. Many cultivators immediately understood what was going on. If Dragon Tiger Sect was included, it was the 6 major sects that sent conjoint body mighty figures to kill Tao Lord Araki Takashi. Furthermore, the 5 factions had once headed to Pingyang Town to get their hands on Araki Takashi's belongings. Tao Lord Araki Takashi had no intention of making an enemy out of all the upper sections. Instead, he was targeting them. Most of the Patriarch of the Upper Sect were seated while the Patriarch of the Dark Ghost Sect and the Patriarch of the 7 Kills Sect stood in the middle of the hall. Although the Dark Ghost Sect Patriarch and the others were uneasy, they forced themselves to remain calm. Su Zimo did not even look at them, and merely chatted happily with the other Patriarch and aristocratic family masters. He talked about everything in the world, interesting matters of cultivation and ancient legends. It was as though they had been forgotten and were left hanging on the spot, unable to advance or retreat. They were all Patriarch of the Upper Sect and the heads of their families. In the cultivation world of the North region, they had noble statuses and were looked up to no matter where they went. But now they were going to suffer such humiliation. Every breath they took in the hall was torture to them. Even so, they did not dare to leave in a huff. At the very least, from the looks of it, Tao Lord Araki Takashi had no intention of killing them. Otherwise, given Araki Takashi's personality, he would have taken action long ago instead of delaying. However, if they were to leave now, they did not know if they would attract Araki Takashi's killing intent. None of the 5 of them dared to try and take the risk. Given the circumstances, the 5 of them could only endure it. After a long time, Su Zimo's gaze shifted and landed on the 5 of them. Dark Ghost Sect, 7 Kills Sect, Blood Mist Sect, Mystic Firmament Divine Cult and Yuan Clan. Su Zimo asked indifferently, "Do you know your sins?" Su Zimo's voice was neither fast nor slow. However, there was a powerful pressure to it that caused the 5 Patriarch to feel suffocated. The Patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect grit his teeth and braced himself, saying loudly, "How have we offended you, Tao Lord? Please enlighten us." The sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult said in a deep voice as well, "Tao Lord Araki Takashi, Exalted Master Lang Yu, who killed you more than 10 years ago, has already announced his departure from Mystic Firmament Divine Cult. His actions have nothing to do with our sect." They could not admit to something as such. The moment they did, they would be exposed. Tao Lord Araki Takashi would have an absolute reason to kill them here. Furthermore, that was the truth. Back then, the 6 conjoint body mighty figures had already announced their departure from the sect in advance for fear of implicating the sect. If Dark Ghost Sect, 7 Kills Sect, and the other upper sects insisted that they had nothing to do with this matter, nobody would have any evidence. "Oh," Su Zimo replied indifferently and did not dwell on the matter. He continued asking, "A few days ago, the cultivators of your sect were stationed outside Pingyang Town. What were your intentions?" "At that time, we believed that you would definitely be able to advance to the Dharma characteristic realm. Therefore, we sent cultivators of our sect over to congratulate you." The Patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect and the others had already prepared an excuse. Of course, that excuse was filled with loopholes and could only be used to defend themselves now. They could not possibly tell Su Zimo that the cultivators of their sect headed to Pingyang Town because they were waiting for him to die so that they could snatch his treasures. If they said that, none of them would be able to survive. "Oh," Su Zimo nodded. "Very good." Although Su Zimo looked calm, the Patriarch of Dark Ghost Sect and the others felt their hearts skip a beat. "In that case, you guys are not at fault, and I'm the one who's overthinking." Su Zimo murmured softly, and a white sword chi gradually condensed on his fingertip, emitting an extremely sharp aura. "Psst!" The 5 of them from Dark Ghost Sect narrowed their eyes and gasped. At that moment, they felt the aura of death. Not good. Araki Takashi was going to kill someone. The moment that thought crossed his mind, the sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult was scared out of his wits and blurted, "I'm guilty, I'm guilty." "Oh," Suzumo smiled. The sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult's mind spun rapidly as he gulped. No matter what, exalted Master Lang Yu was once a mighty figure of our sect, and we have an unshirkable responsibility. Yes, what should we do then? Suzumo asked with a kind smile. Our sect is willing to compensate you, Tao Lord. Pausing for a moment, the sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult grit his teeth and said, We'll compensate you with a perfect grade Tao Lord dermic weapon. Suzumo retracted his smile. More than 10 years ago, exalted Master Lang Yu almost killed me. Patriarch, are you saying that my life is only worth a perfect grade Tao Lord dermic weapon? And no, the sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult panicked, and cold sweat dripped down his forehead. Our sect is willing to hand over 100 grade 6 elixirs, and 100 Tao Lord dermic weapons. Grade 6 elixirs were elixirs that only the Dharma Daojun could consume. They had strong medicinal effects and were extremely difficult to refine. Every single one of them was precious. Now that the sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult was offering 100 of them, he was extremely sincere. Suzumo's expression was unchanged as he shook his head. 1,000 grade 6 elixirs, 1,000 superior grade and above Tao Lord dermic weapons, and 10,000 tons of spirit stones. Even the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect and the others were shocked, let alone the sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult. That was truly exorbitant. Chapter 1239. Tao Lord, 100 grade 6 elixirs, and 100 Tao Lord dermic weapons are already the limit of our sect. The sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult lamented internally, and could not help but say, 1,000 grade 6 elixirs and superior grade Tao Lord dermic weapons? We really can't take that out. Suzumo said, It's fine if you can't take it out. You can use spirit herbs, immortal fruits and treasures as replacements. At the side, Xiaoning said at the right time, Spirit herbs and materials such as the yellow dragon heaven grass, mystic een bamboo, 10,000 year lingji, silver light flower, true essence lotus and skunda fruit will do as well. Xiaoning was an elixir refinement grandmaster to begin with, and was naturally familiar with the main materials required for grade 6 elixirs. Suzumo said, Mystic Firmament Divine Cult and Dragon Tiger Sect are both upper sections. Dragon Tiger Sect has more than 10,000 years of foundation, and these are not all. Mystic Firmament Divine Cult can't take it out? The sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Although Mystic Firmament Divine Cult could take it out, it would definitely be a huge loss. They had to hand over half of their foundation that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, just like that. It was way too ruthless. The patriarch of Stellar Luna sect and the others were shocked as well. This time round, Mystic Firmament Divine Cult would definitely suffer a huge loss. They would not be able to recover without at least 10,000 years. Suddenly, the patriarch of Dark Ghost sect said, If we hand over these items, the feud between Dark Ghost sect and Tao Lord. Naturally, we'll write it off, Suzumo said indifferently. As long as you guys don't provoke me in the future, I won't find trouble with you guys. All right. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect nodded. With that promise of yours, Tao Lord Dark Ghost sect will go all out. Take it as a congratulatory gift for fellow Taoist Araki Takeshi's advancement to the Dharma characteristic realm. With the patriarch of Dark Ghost sect taking the lead, Seven Kills sect, Blood Mist sect and Yuan clan agreed without hesitation. The sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult could only submit. Tao Lord, we definitely won't be able to take out so many treasures right now. We've got to return to the sect to prepare them. I'll give you a month's time. Suzumo replied slowly. If it's beyond that deadline, I'll pay a personal visit. The sect master of Mystic Firmament Divine Cult laughed dryly. This was a blatant threat. After Suzumo paid a visit to the Dragon Tiger sect, it was removed from the northern region. Could the Mystic Firmament Divine Cult withstand this? Tao Lord Araki Takeshi truly lives up to his reputation. Despite facing so many sects and factions alone, he was still able to control the situation. He's even more terrifying than I imagined. One of the Stellar Luna sect's elders sighed with emotion as he transmitted a message through his spiritual consciousness. The patriarch of the Stellar Luna sect also transmitted his voiceover. The Dragon Tiger sect, one of the 10 upper sects of the North region, has been removed from the list. I'm afraid Misty Peak is about to rise. With so many resources and treasures gathered at Misty Peak, this sect's foundation is no weaker than ours. That's right. What Misty Peak lacks now is a body integration mighty figure. If we have a conjoint body mighty figure, there's a high chance of us becoming one of the new upper sects during the upper sects meet. Tao Lord Araki Takashi alone is comparable to 10 conjoint body mighty figures. The patriarch of Dark Ghost sect and the others did not linger at Dragon Tiger sect for long before leaving dejectedly. Under Su Zimo's aura, they felt extremely repressed and could only leave as soon as possible. As for the patriarch of Stellar Luna sect, the Valley Master of Blaze Columbus Valley, the master of the Morong family and the others, they stayed at Dragon Tiger sect for a short period of time before leaving. During this month, Su Zimo stayed in Dragon Tiger sect the entire time and did not leave. At the end of the month, Dark Ghost sect, Seven Kills sect, Blood Mist sect, Mystic Firmament Divine Cult and Yuan clan visited one after another and offered 1,000 grade 6 elixirs, 1,000 superior grade Tao Lord Dermic weapons, and 10,000 tons of spirit stones. Su Zimo handed all those treasures to Misty Peak. These things were not enough to catch his eye. For Dermic weapons, he had the Creation Lotus platform, Mystic Magnet Mountain, and Mingwang prayer beads. Furthermore, his Qingmian true body was comparable to Khanate Tao Lord Dermic weapons. The only thing that Su Zimo was interested in were the cultivation techniques and secret manuals left behind by Dragon Tiger sect. Those things were useful for his main body to deduce Wu Dao, and he moved all of them to Misty Peak. After that, Su Zimo stayed at Misty Peak temporarily. Monkey and the others ran to Wild Lion Ridge and continued to dominate. A year later, Xiaoning set off and prepared to return to Elixir Yang sect of the Middle Continent. Night Spirit offered to escort her. Actually, Xiaoning had already cultivated to the perfected Void Reversion realm and was able to protect herself given her current combat strength. However, she did not refuse and agreed with a smile. Su Zimo had long sensed that there was something fishy between the two of them and did not stop them. All these years as her brother, he had not taken good care of Xiaoning, and it was all thanks to Night Spirit. Furthermore, it was enough as long as both parties were willing. After Xiaoning left, Su Zimo continued to cultivate in Misty Peak. In the blink of an eye, another 5 years passed. For the past 5 years, Misty Peak had been extremely peaceful. After the Battle of Dragon Tiger sect, everyone knew that Araki Takashi had advanced to the Dharma characteristic realm. With the old monk of the Dragon Burial Valley backing him, no one dared to provoke him. However, there were many changes in the cultivation world. The most obvious change was that everyone was practicing martial arts and cultivating. Over the years, Misty Peak alone had recruited thousands of cultivators who cultivated Wu Dao. As for the cultivation world of the North region, a series of changes had happened because of Su Zimo's rise as well. Dragon Tiger sect was removed. Misty Peak rose with the momentum and attracted many cultivators who admired it. Perfected being Jin Dan, Jining Jinjuan, Void Reversions, and even Dharma Daojun wanted to join the sect. Of course, there were no conjoint body mighty figures. Firstly, Misty Peak did not have any conjoint body mighty figures to begin with. Secondly, conjoint body mighty figures roamed unhindered and were not restricted by sections. Even super sects might not have any resources suitable for conjoint body mighty figures to cultivate, let alone Misty Peak. If they wanted to improve, they might as well explore some ancient ruins and cave abodes of predecessors. They might be able to obtain some opportunities. Regarding the Great Zhou dynasty, actually more than 10 years ago, the Great Zhou dynasty had already annexed Great Yu, Great Xia and Great Shang to unify the North region. Over the years, There were no wars between the dynasties, and the citizens rested and cultivated martial arts. Under the governance of Ji Yaoxue, the wounds left behind by the witch Gu calamity gradually healed, and a peaceful and prosperous scene appeared. This day, Su Zimo sensed something in seclusion and suddenly woke up. Before long, there was a knock on the door. "Come in," Su Zimo said. Although he had left the sect for many years, his cave abode had always been preserved for him. The door of the cave abode opened and Nianqi walked in. "Young master," a spirit crane flew in from outside. "It's looking for you." "Oh." Su Zimo frowned slightly and received the spirit crane. There was a faint fragrance on the spirit crane. It was clear that it was made by a woman. Su Zimo swept his gaze. The address on the spirit crane indicated that it was the Middle Continent. Su Zimo opened the spirit crane and read through its contents before long, murmuring softly, "To think that it's her." "Who is it?" Nianqi asked curiously. Su Zimo smiled. "She can be considered as an old friend that I've met once." Pausing for a moment, Su Zimo stood up and crushed the spirit crane into dust with a single swipe of his palm. "I've got to go. I'm making a trip to the Middle Continent." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.